Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into my channel. I am Tristan Gabriel, and today this is a very fun debate with a dear friend of mine, Alan Bondar, somebody who I think is very, very intelligent, very insightful, and I can't wait to see him debate guys like Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson and just take them to school. But Alan is a friend of mine, and he has a debate topic for me. Am I an atheist? I've always professed agnosticism. I give a possibility of a mind or some sort of being, a deity out there. But maybe Alan knows something I don't know. Maybe he's we're going to talk about the definition of the terms, but whatever. Anyways, Alan, thank you for coming on, and I'm happy and delighted to have this very friendly, warm debate, and hopefully it will benefit somebody. And I'm always willing to be corrected. So I guess convert me to atheism.
That's funny. No, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I was glad you took me up on this because I thought it would be fun.
Yes.
If nothing else.
I always get called an atheist. I mean, I always get, especially in our groups, right? It's like,
well, I'm hoping that you will no longer repel that position. I hope you embrace it after today.
We'll see. We'll see.
Because I don't feel like I need to convert you to atheism. I think you already are an atheist, and that's what I'm hoping to convince you.
Gotcha.
So, but before we go any further, I want to express why I think this is an important subject. Why would I waste time trying to persuade somebody that they're an atheist? What difference does that make? And I think it's important, and here's why. By and large, the faith models, particularly Christianity, permeates our culture to such a degree that atheism is almost seen as a dirty word. It's this, you're almost an outcast, an imbecile. How could you possibly be an atheist? And so I think a lot of people who come out of theism, they fear putting this label on themselves. They fear calling themselves an atheist because it doesn't feel good. That's the view that's considered dumb. How could you possibly be an atheist? And the irony is, when you think about what brought people to become atheists, it's that we no longer found sufficient evidence for a God. And so when you don't have a good reason to believe something, the best position is to not believe it rather than to continue to believe something you have no good reason to believe. That's the position of atheism. And unfortunately, the theist position is, well, we're going to believe anyway. And they don't really have a good reason. You and I know that. Otherwise, we'd be theists. If there was a good reason to be a theist, I would still be a theist, but there isn't. As you know from my book, I believe theists are brainwashed, and they are continuing to believe something without sufficient justification because they don't know that they're brainwashed. And so when atheism is considered the bad position, theism continues to stay strong and make the atheist almost feel embarrassed. And oftentimes you'll see it. You go to family gatherings and everybody else is allowed to talk about God and all the wonderful things that God is doing, but you can't bring your perspective, or else you're being disruptive, which is really unfair if you think about it, because it's like, why can't I share what I'm going through, and it not include a God and tell you that it's not a God, but you can sit there in my face and. So the reason I think this is important is because as long as atheism is considered a bad word and thought to be the outcast position and the minority position, theism is going to continue to have this ground, this higher ground. And I think that there are far more atheists in the world right now than are admitting to being atheists. The sooner we can get more people to become or to claim and admit that they're atheists, we'll be able to even the scales, and eventually atheism won't feel like that position anymore. You'll leave theism and there'll be a world of atheists. You'll be like, oh, okay, I'm just an atheist. It's not a big deal anymore. So that's why I think this is an important debate or discussion, because I think people who are atheists need to realize they are, and to stop being afraid. And the more we can come out of the closet, so to speak, I think the more we can substantiate this position and establish it as a valid position. Even though it's not a position, it's the antithesis to a position, if you think about it. So with that said, let me explain why I think you're an atheist and why I think there's more atheists than we give credit for. Atheism, by definition, is simply the disbelief in a god or gods. That's the simple definition of atheism. Now there's some positions of atheism that are the definitive claim that there are no gods. That is another meaning of atheism that we would consider a strong atheist, the strong position. But that is a position that goes a little bit further than the traditional atheist position. The atheist position is simply a disbelief in the existence of God or gods. We're not convinced there's a God, period. And then you have the strong atheist that might go stronger than that, but you don't have to go that far. I don't, because I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's sufficient reason to claim there is no God. I don't know how you can possibly know that. Whatever this God is just chooses to remain invisible. That's always a possibility. So I don't go around making claims there is no God. I've tried to, maybe I did when I first became an atheist, but I tried to temper my language more and be more consistent with my actual position, to just say I'm withholding a stance on God until I have enough evidence to decide one. It'd be the same thing as saying, the universe came out of nothing. If I were, I don't know that. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. That doesn't seem logical, but I don't know what the laws of physics were, or if there were even laws of physics prior to, Planck time. I don't know what brought this universe. So I can make up anything I want, and then I can just claim to believe it. But since I don't know, the more honest position is just, I don't know, which brings in agnosticism. That's the position you stand in. And I also stand in that position. It's called agnosticism. It's simply the position that says, I don't know. And you're not making a claim to know, and you're not going to claim that you know something until sufficient evidence has presented itself and you have a good reason to say, oh, now I can land on a position and take one. So that's the long and short of the positions of agnosticism and atheism. Agnosticism is about knowledge. Atheism is about belief. They are not the same thing. People view, how do I put this picture up here, Tristan? There it is. Okay. So here's how people often think it works. They think there's theism and there's atheism, and they think in the middle of those two is agnosticism, that's the position that, eliminates trying to land on one or the other. But that's not really how it works. This is more how it works. I'm clicking another one now. There we go. This is more how it works. Agnosticism and Gnosticism speak to knowledge. Theism and atheism speak to belief. So you have the Gnostic theist, and now Gnosticism has other roots as well in meaning when you just speak in terms of Gnosticism, but as opposed to agnosticism, Gnosticism is just about knowledge. So most of the time, agnosticism is in reference to the belief in God, but you can be agnostic about a lot of things. You could be agnostic about the supernatural. You could be agnostic about angels, about demons. You can be agnostic about how the world began. So agnosticism can speak to more things than just a God. So when you combine it with your view of of whether or not you believe in a God, that's where they cross paths. And so the Gnostic theist is convinced a specific God or gods exist. These would be your Christians, your Muslims, people who say, I know exactly which God it is. It's the Yahweh of the Bible. They're certain because they know, and therefore they believe, they're convinced a specific God or gods exist. Then you have the agnostic theist. These are people like, I don't know if you know who Josh Patterson is, good friend of mine as well. He would fall into this category. He's convinced some God or gods exist, but he would not sit down and say, I know which one is definitely this. He messes around with it, tries to figure out what it is, and has some definitions that he throws at it. But at the same time, he would not take such a hard stance as the Gnostic theist to say, it's this God, and this is how he functions, and this is everything about him. So they're convinced that God exists because they believe it, but they're just not sure which God it is, and they're just not going to take that hard stance. Then you have the Gnostic atheist. This is the one that's convinced no God or gods exist. They're the hard atheist or the strong atheist I was telling you about. They take the stance that I can tell you there is no God. They, unfortunately, would have the burden of proof because they're making a claim. There is no God. The burden of proof lies on the Gnostic atheist. I'm not a Gnostic atheist. I think that's a terrible position, to be honest with you, but there are some there that think they can do this, and I wish them well. Here's the position where you and I fall, in my opinion. I definitely fall in there, and I'm trying to convince you that you fall in there. The agnostic atheist. It's the person who is unconvinced a God or gods exist. You don't know whether one does or not. Therefore, you don't take a position that one does. You're just unconvinced. And until you get evidence to become convinced and fall into a Gnostic or agnostic theist position, you're simply going to rest in the default position of saying, I have no good reason to believe a God exists, any more than I have to believe that unicorns exist or flying pixie fairies or Goerings I don't walk.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that point again?
The agnostic atheist.
Yeah, can you define? I just want to be able to understand it in detail. How would
Sure.
you define that again?
Sure. The agnostic atheist is the default position prior to believing anything exists, any God exists. So because you don't know whether one does or does not, you don't believe that one does. You're unconvinced currently. And so until there is
That's okay. But if I could interject, I don't know. Are we? Did we? This is an organic discussion, right?
Yeah. Of course, I don't mean to be taking the time. Just
no. I know. I just want to be able to interject. I think that there's these detailed differences, these nuances, is what we call it. That when you said that I don't believe, I do believe that there is a possibility that a divine mind, apart from religious literature, and it doesn't have to do with anything with humanity, that there could be, you can call it a prime mover, you can call it a mind. If you want to attribute it as a God, I would label myself as an anti-theist. Like it can't be any of the human-made religious literatures, but there could be a mind out there. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I just where does it where I'm not a staunch atheist where I say I know that there is no God and I could prove it, just like how you stated. But where do we disagree? That's what I'm saying. Where exactly do we disagree? I want that small little detail.
Sure.
Where do we disagree? Because everything you're saying, I go, hey, amen to it.
Yeah, the disagreement comes in the one key word that you use when you just expressed what you said about the gods out there. You said, or something out there, some mind. You said the possibility. That is a very key word.
Okay, I fine. Forget possibility. Let's just say that I think there's warrant to believe. How about not possibility, but there's warrant to believe?
So are you convinced there is one?
I believe that I'm convinced that we should warrant that belief. See, there's a difference between these terms.
Yeah. So you have some sort of an intelligent
based upon the design, which
you have some sort of intelligent designer,
right? It could be right, but even if you take the mind apart from human affairs, so it has nothing to do with humanity. There's just a mind out there that's greater, that has nothing to do at all, zero, with human affairs.
Sure. So you have an intelligent mind out there, as when you wanted to remove the word possibility, but what you're saying is there is warrant to include it as a candidate option.
Yes. Perfect.
Right. Just as much as there not being an intelligent mind is a candidate option, since you don't know for sure.
I don't know just as much, because a lot of times it goes off of feelings. Our feelings can play a role in what we think, but I don't know if it's just as much. So I would say I can say I'm like maybe 70% convinced, but maybe there's 30% that there is no God or something like that. It could be a percentage, and that can, as life's journey goes on, it goes up and down.
Right, but that percentage is the key factor here. That is what I mean when I say convinced. Like, you still are not convinced definitively that all other options have been excluded. Until you're convinced that all other options are excluded because there is no other possibilities, you are still in the atheist camp because you're still unconvinced. Once you become convinced and you don't know what that God is, you now become an agnostic theist because you are convinced that something out there exists.
I don't know.
Because if you think about it, so the issue here is that there are no other options besides these four squares. It's like it's A or non-A is the issue you're facing here. You have to be either A or non-A. You have to either say I'm convinced or I'm unconvinced. You can't.
No, I'm neutral. I'm neutral.
There's no such thing. Neutral is unconvinced.
No, it's not.
Sure, it is.
No, it's not. Absolutely. Show me in a court of law where you can't be neutral of something.
Neutral is unconvinced.
No,
like if somebody comes to you and they say
no, because I can say I'm convinced that this can change.
I'm convinced it can change too.
See,
there isn't an issue.
Splitting hairs.
No,
they're splitting hairs.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
The reason, as an agnostic atheist, I stand in a position that says I don't know.
Yeah.
Therefore, I am unconvinced that a supernatural being of any sort exists.
No, that's you. I can say I don't know, but I am convinced that there could be some good
No,
arguments
no,
for
you
a
can't. You
warranted
can't
belief.
say. You
Why
can't
can't
say.
I say it? Why can't I
No,
say that? I
because
just said it.
you keep using a hard word and then a qualifier with it.
Why can't I? Okay, why can't I say that?
Because if you say I'm convinced there could be, that's the same thing as saying I'm unconvinced currently.
Why can't I say it the other way? What's your source for this logic?
What do you mean source? I don't have a source.
What's your source for this deduction?
I,
You're making a deductive framework. What's your source for this deduction? I think this is your framework that you're projecting.
no,
that
no,
to me.
it's not. I would say the law of
Okay, so
non-contradiction.
then what's your source?
I would
Then?
say
If
the
it's
law of
not yours,
the law of non-contradiction falls in here.
the law of non-contradiction.
Yes, you can't. You either have to have A or non-A. You can't contradict that. Like,
I don't think I'm contradicting. I think that these issues are so complex that it's hard to pick a phonetic sound. I'll just pull off of Ludwig Wittgenstein language schemes to have a mental image of what it is that we're talking about. Like, I think that you and I are the same. Like, I think that these are such splitting hairs that it's not up for really debate because
well, it's not splitting hairs because
okay.
because the default position is atheism. Like, here's okay. So here's a way of putting this. Why do sane people exist? Why does the word sane exist to describe sane people?
I don't know.
Because there are insane people. If you didn't have insane people, you wouldn't even need the word sane. It would just be assumed because it's the default position.
Perhaps, maybe.
Okay. Theism works the same way. The only reason atheism is even needed as a word or a description is because theists exist that make declarations that there is a God.
Okay.
So the default position is atheism. We're unconvinced yet that there is a God. I am not a theist. That's all the negation does.
I get it. I get what I'm saying, Alan, is that when I think of atheism, I understand there's nuances of versions of atheism, but when I'm talking to the common person, an atheist means that they're unconvinced, right? That there is no God. And there are some who boldly claim that. No. So like to me, there has to be a drawing line, a dividing line between agnosticism and atheism. And
there is. Look at the diagram. There is a drawing line.
I mean, okay. Okay, I like the first diagram. Like you brought up the first one. That
but this is the reason.
That first one. I know, but I like that first one better.
Yeah, I know you might like it, but it's illogical. It's not connecting correctly because agnosticism. I made this.
Okay, you made this. Thank you. Okay, now what scholastic verification do you have to have coherent verification that this is a proper mode of logic?
Does that matter?
I have to have
a scholar to verify a position that's logical.
Wait, hold on, wait. So you don't need coherent verification of other minds to verify whether your declaration is true?
I have plenty of people that would verify this chart.
Okay, but who? Okay, then who?
Why, Matt Dillahunty, Forrest Valkai. You could include in this Bart Ehrman. You can include in this just about anybody that would consider themselves an atheist that would present this chart and say, yes, this is absolutely the right way to look.
I like it, but the reason why I brought this, I'm not criticizing it. I like the first one better. It's just a little bit more simplistic. That's it. Like there has to be a dividing line.
The problem, Tristan, is you're still conflating knowledge with belief with that chart. Theism and agnosticism are not the same. They don't speak to the same thing. That's why you have to separate them.
Okay, in real simplistic terms, we know Albert Einstein said, look, if you can't explain it simply, you don't know it enough. So in the most simplistic terms, those who believe that there is no God at all, that's the atheist. Those who believe that there could be a God, but they're unsure, that's agnostic. And those that are convinced there is a God, that would be a theistic worldview. That's it. Like we can make it more complicated than that, but there has to be some word attached to that mode of thinking.
With that word that you used with agnosticism comes a statement of belief as well.
Yes, I believe that there is warranted belief, and I believe that I'm neutral in this. I'm waiting to see it play out.
That's why you're an atheist. That's the whole point I'm making. You are sane. Do you understand? You are sane, not insane.
But an atheist is sane. Okay, but how people in the general public view atheism is that they are convinced that there is no God. Like the staunch, hard atheists, like the one that you're saying that you're not, that is the bulk of when you claim like an atheist. Like if you're in school and you talk to students, which I'm with all the time, when they think of atheists, they're not thinking of what you're saying. You're saying things a little bit more nuanced, which I appreciate.
No, you're
But
absolutely wrong. You're absolutely
okay,
wrong.
okay. So then, what is
The majority of atheists would be the agnostic atheists. You're not gonna find that many Gnostic atheists.
Okay. So what if it's the majority? There are some who would believe the way.
But that was the case you were just trying to make. So I'm just expressing that that's an incorrect view.
Okay. Well, I do. Okay. So let me say this. Show me where I'm incorrect in this. Okay. I'm an anti-theist, which means I don't believe it's Yahweh or Zeus or any man-made God. I have ruled that out. But there could be a mind out there that is divine that may or may not be involved in humanity, and we'll probably never know.
Correct. That's the agnostic atheist position. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, but then I'm not an atheist. The proposition is I'm an atheist.
You are an atheist because
I'm
atheism.
an agnostic atheist. Which one comes first? Agnostic atheist or atheist agnostic? Which one?
I would say agnostic comes first.
Thank you. And that's it. I'm not going to make it more complicated.
Because knowledge.
You can make it more complicated. You can, but I'm just going to say I'm sticking with the agnostic. You're adding on language schemes and projecting propositions that I just don't think it's necessary.
So do you?
I'll just Gnosticism. Make it simple. That's what it is.
Agnosticism is speaking to knowledge.
Okay, so then why are these two different words? Why are they two different words then?
Because one speaks to knowledge, one speaks to belief. You're not addressing your belief. You're only addressing your knowledge right now.
Yeah, but when you have knowledge, oh goodness. See, that's the part right there. That knowledge and belief part, that is where, if you really want to get into that, it's just they function together.
They absolutely do. That's why I gave you this chart.
So then what percentage? Okay, so then what percentage is knowledge and belief then within your mental first-person view? What? Give me a percentage then.
Well, 100% of Gnosticism and agnosticism speak to knowledge, and 100% of theism and atheism.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm talking about in daily life. How much is knowledge, information, the fundamental? Like, is it 90% knowledge and then 10% belief? Like, do I believe because of my 90th percentile of knowledge on a subject?
I don't think you can separate them, because what you think is what you believe.
Point. I know.
Right. So why, if it is your point, then why are you so antagonistic to accepting that you do have a belief, whether it's
because that's what you're saying, that is where the pinpoint dividing factor is at. You're the one that's drawing attention. I'm saying don't even go there.
Well,
I'm the one that's saying don't even go there.
Are there theists in the world?
Yes.
What's the opposite?
An atheist.
Thank you. If you're not a theist, then you're an atheist.
No, there's a middle ground. There is no
middle ground. It's A or not A. Give me something between A and non A.
Okay, so do you think it's just black and white? Is that what you're saying? It's either black and white.
It is. In this case, yes. Give me something besides.
Okay, all right. So you're comparing this to Roy G. Biv, correct? Your analogy is Roy G. Biv, correct? We're adding colors, black and white. Okay, well, don't you know that there's brown and there's pink and there's blue and there's different colors? Things are not always black and white, Alan. You're making it black and white, and I'm saying no. This issue is so complex that there's other colors that exist.
Because
you're still those other colors.
You're still talking about colors.
I know, but we're talking about.
Give me a nuance that doesn't include theism.
I'm going to tell you. There's a reason why. Okay, if we look at the etymology of these words, there's a reason why they're sounding different, and there's a reason why they're spelling different. Is because they're giving different frameworks, different mental imageries. That's why they're two different words.
What, agnosticism and atheism?
Yes. Do they sound the same? Oh, okay. Do they sound the same?
They're not the same.
Okay. And so they're fundamentally not the same. That's why humanity developed that within its language scheme.
Because one speaks to knowledge and one speaks
fundamentally not the same. That's why they sound different.
But they are fundamentally different in their meanings. One is about knowledge, one is about belief.
Yeah, but you just said they're synonymous.
No, I didn't say they're synonymous.
Okay, so they're different.
I never said they were synonymous.
Okay, so they're staunchly different.
Because one's about knowledge and one's about belief, correct?
Okay, and knowledge could exist on its own without belief? And belief can exist on its own without knowledge?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you. Why?
That doesn't make them synonymous. That doesn't make them synonymous.
Okay, what organ? Okay, if it's not synonymous, then what organ then is knowledge and belief located in? What organ in the physical body if they're not synonymous?
Well, I suppose in that sense, they would both exist in the brain.
Thank you. So that's the fundamental part right there. Okay. And what part of the brain does knowledge and belief exist?
Yeah, but dude,
excuse me. What part of the brain? Hold on, wait quickly. What part of the brain does knowledge and belief exist? Do they believe in are they located in separate parts, like the frontal cortex, and maybe knowledge is located somewhere else?
Probably
They're
not.
both located in the same region,
Sure.
Alan. How are they not fundamentally the same? If physically I could reduce it and right down to physics right there, it's still in the same region of the brain.
Sure. So would you say that emotions are also synonymous?
Yes, they're biochemicals tied to your nervous system and your brain.
So you don't think emotions are
Your
anything
amygdala.
different?
Your amygdala.
So emotions and knowledge. So in your mind, emotions and knowledge have no distinction whatsoever.
Yes, there is a nuance, but you can say, okay, so are we talking about emotions? Or are we talking about belief and knowledge?
We'll get back to that in a second. I'm trying to draw.
Because they function differently when it hits the nervous system. You see, the nervous system plays a role in the emotions much more than you can say belief or knowledge. So
how do you? I'm not sure that's true, but okay.
Then quote me somebody who's wrong. Quote me somebody who's wrong. Quote me a scholar who says I'm wrong.
I don't know that I have one that says you're right either.
Okay, I know. All right. Well, if you look at anybody who studies, neurology, you can see this, that it's located in the same part of the brain. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, these nuance of terms, I don't think they're worth the debate, because if we're just going to split hairs.
So then let's not ever discuss how you feel. Let's just always refer to knowledge. There's no point in saying I feel sad today. You might as well just say I know I'm sad.
Yeah, you could. Okay, you could put feelings in there.
Why ever tell somebody I love you? Just say I know you, because they're the same.
But they're not inseparably different. They're still inseparable. They're still inseparable. They still function.
I didn't disagree that they're inseparable, but they are distinct nonetheless. They speak to different things.
I know, but you can't have one without the other. Like when it comes to knowledge.
That's fine. You may not be able to have one without the other, but that does not make them the same thing.
Okay. Even though they're located in the same physical organ in the same physical spot.
Why would they not? Why do they have to be identical things just because they come from the same place?
I don't know. It's kind of like saying my finger is different than my pinky and all that. It's like these are all different,
and it is different. It is different, even though they're both fingers.
But 90th percentile, they're the same, right? Like in the bulk of it, in the 90. No, okay. So then, what percentage is?
No, you might be right about the 90%.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
How does that not make it a finger, though?
I didn't say it wasn't, but to debate whether these are not they're fundamental. I'm saying they're fundamentally the same. So it's not worth the debate. But you want to debate whether my index is different and I should be saying something. I'm thinking, no, they're
so you don't think it matters that we distinguish between which fingers are which?
For what? It depends on the proposition. What's the topic about?
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. For the sake of what's important in that moment. If we're just talking in generality, sure, they're all fingers. But if we're talking to a doctor about which one you'd rather lose because you have to lose one, that conversation becomes important. If I say the pinky and I meant the thumb, that's not very helpful.
All right. Well, I don't. Okay. Let me just say this. I don't think I'm afraid to say I'm an atheist, Alan. You said I'm afraid. I'm not afraid to say I'm an atheist. Like, I understand that maybe because we're born in church that, we have that theistic worldview. And it's like deeply embedded in our neuropsychology. Like, I just can't erase it out of my brain that there could be a God out there. Maybe, Alan, maybe I'm brainwashed, just like, how your literature states. Which I've read, by the way, and I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with the things you're saying, but maybe you're just more wise than me, and I'm just not getting it. And it's going to take time for me to process.
Number one, I'm not saying you're particularly afraid. I didn't even mean to imply that about you. I'm saying I think predominantly people don't like the title atheism because of how it gets them treated in the world, and I'm saying it's absurd that atheism should be the minority position when in fact it's theism that has no good reason to have the belief in an existence of a God.
I agree with you on the theism part, but there has to be a strong dividing line between somebody who's, you're saying that there's no possibility of being neutral. And I'm like, listen, there's intelligent scholars out there who claim being neutral. Why is that? Why is the word neutral exist then?
There's a lot of people that don't understand reason and logic, or at least get it wrong in some area. I mean, I guarantee you I have an area that I'm not being logical about too. It's just we're blind to so many things in our life. So just because a brilliant scholar doesn't see this doesn't mean they're right. So
I know, but there has to be some coherence, though. There has to be like a majority rules. Majority rules is still a framework.
There doesn't. Majority rules never makes right.
I get that 1,000%. So what are we going to do? Reverse it and say minority rules then?
Well, in this case, I would like to say atheism rules, but that's just a joke.
Okay. So wait, hold on. When it comes to determining truth, the scientific method, right, which is what you use and I pull to as well. Should we use majority rules as the framework to decide truth, or should we use minority rules? Which one?
I don't think the percentage of people has any bearing on the
It has no bearing. Okay, so then toss out majority rules. We should just go to minority rules then, because like you said, it has no bearing. So we should switch the framework to whatever is voted the least, that is what we're going to go with.
Do you really determine truth in your life based upon percentages of people's beliefs?
No, but I'm trying to quantify this and add logic in mathematics and numbers. Why are you stopping me from adding numbers? We do that with everything else within our ontological framework.
You can add them all you want, but it's not going to change whether or not.
Okay, no. Okay. Wait. I believe that if we're going to determine truth, we need coherent verification, epistemically speaking. No man is on his own island. No scriptures of a private interpretation. You need other minds to come and verify. Do you agree with that?
Can you ask it one more time to make sure I understand?
Epistemically speaking, in order to establish justified true belief, do you believe in coherentism? Do you believe that you need coherent minds to justify or verify what you are saying? Or do you think that one man could be on his knows truth? He's a man on his own island and he doesn't need coherent verification. It doesn't need to be tested with other minds.
No, I think independent verification is essential to determining truth. Yes.
No, I'm asking you to determine truth. Yes or no? Do you need other minds to coherently verify this truth that you're declaring?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So you're not a coherentist.
If I want them to be convinced that my position is correct, then I need to give them something they can independently verify.
You're going to them. You're going to them. That's coherent verification.
Yes, but not because whether or not they see it makes it true. If it's true, they will see it. If they're using
logic. But you still need the other mind, correct?
No, because my position, I'm not accepting something as true because somebody else says it is.
Okay, so do you reject or accept coherentism as an epistemological framework?
I think so, yeah. Because, like, think about this. Like, when you use a scientific, I'm surprised you use coherentism. That's interesting, but it's okay.
Yes, I do believe you need other minds to verify what you're saying is true. You need to test it with other minds. You need to debate it and test it out. You're saying you don't need that shit. And I'm like, no, you do.
I'm saying that just because somebody else doesn't verify it doesn't mean something isn't true.
No, but I'm asking that whether in your framework, are you a coherentist where if you're going to say something or declare something to be true, that you need coherent verification?
I do think you need coherent verification in order.
It's a necessity.
Not to make it true, to verify that it's true.
Exactly, coherent verification. That's what I always said. Fine. You had said no. You had said no.
So because I thought you were saying that you have to have coherence in order to make something true, and I'm saying
that's what I'm trying to say. You do need coherent verification. If somebody's going to say, "Hey, this person raped me," okay, are there any witnesses or any proof? You need coherent verification, not just an independent claim, which you know that. So that's what I'm trying to. Okay, sure. That's what I'm trying to say. There are many people who are neutral that don't, and they're intellectuals and they're scholars and they're noble people, and there's coherent verification that's the reason why the word neutral exists. Is that you don't want to take a stand and you shouldn't be forced to take a stand. And somebody shouldn't project that you are something that you're neutral on.
So let me give you this example. So then you have a witness because they're an eyewitness, they're going to testify because they saw something, right? The alternative to that is I'm not going to be a witness because I either don't know that I saw it correctly or I can't verify it. You're either a witness or you're not. There isn't another position. The neutral position is not.
That framework does not apply when it comes to God's existence because God's existence is more complex than anything that you could possibly bring to a court case.
No, because I'm not talking about the different views within the theist position. I'm saying either you're a theist or you're not. If you choose to be a theist, then sure, you're going to have a whole lot of nuances in theism. That's fine. In fact, as an atheist, you'll probably have a bunch of nuances in things you believe. But the sheer thing of atheism answers only one question and one question only, and it has no other variables or variances to it whatsoever. And how is it defined? And it's the question of, Are you convinced that God exists?
Yes, I have warranted belief.
That's not a
I
good enough. You're
Yes,
trying to
it
sidestep. No,
is.
you're
Yes, it
sidestepping the
is.
actual answer to the question.
Oh,
Are
goodness
you
gracious.
convinced there is? Not are you convinced there's warrant to consider one?
Okay,
I'm
yes,
asking,
I
are you
am.
convinced it is? Are you convinced there is some mind?
I'm neutral. I'm neutral. That's
Then
why
you're
that word exists.
unconvinced. Then you're
That
unconvinced. Why is it so hard for you to say that neutral does not mean convinced? Neutral means unconvinced. That is the
I don't
default
think so.
position.
I don't,
The
I don't think
neutral
so.
position is
No, I
the
don't think
default
so. No, I'm
position.
sorry. No, I'm sorry. I don't think so. Quote me a source then that makes that statement.
What do you want a source for,
That's what I'm
dude?
saying. You're making things up. You're making a framework, and I'm like, okay, so then who says this then? Like, give me a philosopher that says, give me a philosopher of logic that says this, because I'm saying the word neutral exists. Humanity made that word, and I'll just pull from Ludwig Wittgenstein. He's one of the greatest philosophers of all time.
I bet you we could ask.
Okay, but why does the word neutral exist then?
Hang on, what's his name?
Hold on, because you're saying it's either black or white, like how you had stated, and I
it
brought up
is.
the different colors. No, it's not. These issues are not, and I'm trying to tell you. That's why the word neutral exists. Then why the hell does the word neutral exist then in our human minds? And we use that in our language.
Neutral is
Why does the word neutral exist? If you say, well, yes or no, I'm either convinced or not convinced. Why the hell did the word neutral come into emerge in our language then?
Neutral is a word that describes where you stand on a position.
Exactly. And where I'm standing is I'm waiting to see how it plays out.
Exactly. So you're unconvinced.
I'm not taking a side.
Exactly. That's exactly the agnostic atheist position. It takes no side.
What it is I'm not convinced. I'm not unconvinced neither. I'm waiting to see how it plays out. It's like saying, who's going to win this boxing fight? Well, we're like in the second round. I don't know yet. It's still too early to decide. And to have forced certitude would be wrong.
What is
that
the
is
opposite?
what an agnostic is. That is what an agnostic is.
What is the opposite of convinced?
Unconvinced, but things are not so black and white.
What happens? What's between convinced and unconvinced?
Okay, so then why does the word neutral exist then?
It's the same. It's a synonymous word for unconvinced. It's the same thing.
Okay, so the way I phrase this, okay, I'm unconvinced.
I have to wonder if we looked up a thesaurus and actually found this exact synonym. I bet you we would.
Okay.
I'm kind of curious, actually.
Okay, I'm unconvinced that any religious God exists. That would be, all the ones that Abrahamic religions, anything that's tied to religious literature. I'm convinced.
No. You're convinced they don't exist. That's a difference.
Yeah, they don't exist, right? They don't exist.
With those gods, you're a Gnostic atheist.
Okay, with those gods, I look at it like how it would be this, like if I were to see like a monkey imagine something and start writing up it. If a monkey started making up gods, that's how I would look at it. It's just that simple. Like I have a creature that has imaginary things. That's all that it is. And they're adding on, making a literature. That's all that it is. I don't think that has to be necessarily a stance on atheism or agnosticism. I think you could just observe this with the scientific method and have just a neutral, non-biased, and you're not going to take a side. That's why the word neutral exists. There has to be in the middle, maybe this is like heaven or hell, and this is why the Catholics made purgatory.
Synonyms for unconvinced: doubtful, dubious, suspicious, uncertain, tentative.
Where's neutral? Where's neutral?
I don't know that I see neutral as an actual word.
I got it. Right. Neutral is not synonymous to unconvinced.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that it isn't. I'm just going through them.
Find it. The clock.
Well, it might not be in this list, man.
Find it anywhere. I'll give you the floor. I'm going to go ahead and set a timer because I'm telling you the reason why the word neutral exists because it's not synonymous to unconvinced. Now, please.
All right, so when you look up neutral, it has uncommitted, undecided, indifferent, same exact synonyms that the other one.
Undecided. Had. There you go. That's it right
exactly
there.
The same synonym.
No, it is not the same. Do you know? Have you studied intentionality?
Dude, I just looked at unconvinced and it had undecided. It's the same synonym.
Okay.
Dude.
Undecided is not the same thing as unconvinced. If you give me the floor to explain.
But it says it right here. Unconvinced synonym is undecided.
Okay, but before I make a decision, you first have to be convinced, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but if I'm neutral and I choose not to make that decision, that's where you just fall back and you're neutral as an observer.
You're undecided.
No, because I haven't even uttered a decision to make to say that I'm undecided. There's not enough evidence yet, not enough data to gather. It's still early in the fight. It's still early in the round. The
That
scientific revolution, it's the
right.
past
So
100
you
years.
have nothing. You have nothing to be convinced of.
No, I think that there's warranted arguments on both sides. That I'm saying that that's the observer point of view. That is that is the correct way to hold the scientific method. I'm not saying I'm convinced or unconvinced. I'm neutral until time plays out. That is the scientific method.
Would you say that once? So if you all right, let's take your position, the neutral position. Then you receive
Which is the
information.
scientific method, which is the
Right.
scientific method, by the way.
Then fine. Okay, you take.
You didn't have a decision or an undecision yet. You shouldn't
Okay.
be decided or undecided yet. You're neutral and you're unbiased with the scientific method.
All right.
That is my mode right there.
So
That's my mode.
you take the neutral position, and then you receive evidence or a claim for a claim, right?
Okay.
Then that evidence, based on that evidence, you either become convinced or
Neutral. You
No,
see, you're
no,
making it black and white.
we're starting at neutral. We're starting at neutral. You said.
I never started neutral. I never invented that word. I don't get it.
So how are you ever at neutral?
It's not black and white.
Wait,
It's not
I thought you were just
black and
arguing
white.
that you are neutral. Now I'm trying to work with neutral.
What I'm trying to say is you're neutral because if you honor the scientific method, and the spirit of the scientific method is you're supposed to be neutral. You're not supposed to have a decision, and you're not supposed to be undecided. You're supposed to be neutral when you're using the scientific methodology, correct?
Let me ask you a question. Is there a possibility of being neutral between Gnosticism and agnosticism?
Yes. Yes.
So then why aren't you neutral instead of agnostic?
Because I would categorize myself when I'm speaking to the public, the general public, that many times people think agnosticism are people that still believe that there could be a God. That's simple. Don't make it more difficult than that. Albert Einstein, just say it's simple. The dividing point between those two phonetic sounds, between agnosticism and atheism, the reason why they sound different is to project a different mental image. And the other mental image is that there is no God. And that is how the general public understands that. So that's why I say that. That's why I'm not saying that I'm against the atheists, but
you are making a claim about the knowledge you have regarding God. And you said you want to stay neutral, and yet you're still saying you're agnostic because there is apparently evidence you evaluated and decided there's not enough to know.
But agnostic means I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Enough the evidence is not enough to know, and that's what.
So you have evaluated the evidence, and you're unconvinced that a God exists.
No, I
you don't know.
Warranted belief. No, I give warranted belief that a God exists.
That's the same thing as
no, it is not. That's why. Okay, then why does the word warrant? Okay, then why does the word warrant exist? It just means that hey, we don't know yet.
Absurd.
We don't know. Okay, it's like when a judge issues a warrant based upon the evidence, we have a warrant to enter in now. Now we're not having forced certitude. We're not saying you're guilty, but there's enough to have a solid logical argument. That's what I'm trying to say. Those who believe that there could be a God apart from religion, they have some sort of, or even Christopher Hitchens stated that because of the design argument. And this is why when in the vein of that, he stated he wouldn't eliminate religion. If there was one religious person in the world, he said he wouldn't do it. Okay. And it was in that same vein. And I'm just trying to say that there could be something out there, and there has to be some common.
Dude, I know there could be something out there. I agree with that position. Let's try to change the word from unconvinced and convinced, because I don't think we're getting anywhere with that.
Okay.
Let's change the word believe or belief. Do you believe that a intelligent mind exists? Listen to my words carefully. Don't play the word games. Don't try to say don't try to say there's warranted for, there might be. I'm saying, do you believe there is, and don't be Bill Clinton here.
Okay.
Do you believe there is a God or some mind?
I think there is. I think there's a good percentage. Warranted belief, yeah.
So you're an agnostic theist then?
No, because theism would have to tie to a religious dogma and literature. It has to tie to a literature. Take out every single religious literature that there is. I'm a caveman that exists. I'm looking up at the.
No,
yeah, it is.
You can make up a God. It doesn't have to be related to a literature.
Well, normally it is. Like, that's why the study of
How do
theology
you think the literature came about to begin with?
well, that's why there's deism, which George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were.
Yes.
They were right. So that's why these words exist. The reason why there's these different words is to project a different mental imagery. That's why these words exist. And
Yes,
what I'm trying to say,
a deist is essentially an agnostic theist.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure. I guess you could say that. But what I'm trying to say is there's flavors to that. There's neo versions. So you could say, well, I'm a deist, that this God has nothing to do with humanity, never did and never will. That it's just something out there. And that's what I'm trying to say.
I agree with you that theism has nuances. You can see two right there. And atheism has two nuances. But there's no nuances between theist and atheist, is the point I'm making. You either believe there is, or you don't yet believe there is. You believe there. Now, you might believe there's warrant. You might believe there's enough evidence to consider it. You might believe all kinds of other things. But I'm not asking any questions about whether or not you believe there's possible, there's this, there's considerable evidence. I'm asking you if you actually yet believe there is, because you've done all the evidence and you're convinced. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not asking, do you believe there's enough to make it a candidate? I'm asking, have you eliminated all the possibilities that you are now convinced and do believe there is a mind?
Yeah, the reason why the Fifth Amendment exists is because I just refuse to say something, and I'm just not going to say it. And you can't. I can't be forced. Can't be forced. I'm neutral. That's my honest belief. What is my belief? I'm hearing both sides, and how about I say this? It's a tie. How about that? It's a tie. That's why it exists, Alan. And
there's no such thing as a tie. You can't in this case.
Thing as a tie. Okay.
In this case, you cannot have one because
why not? Quote me somebody who made that statement.
Because 99% is not convinced. I'm almost there, but I'm still not yet convinced.
No, who said I was 99? Maybe I'm 49-51.
Well, that's even worse then.
Why would it be even worse?
Because that shows you're even less convinced than 99%.
No, it shows that you're even more neutral. If it's 49-51, and then on some days I'm 51-49. That's the truth of it. That's my belief.
So why is it when we look at the synonym for unconvinced, it says undecided. When we look up the synonym for neutral, it says undecided. And you say that that's correct. You won't grant the synonym.
Because I think that these word games are unnecessary, because there has to be some sort of dividing point, which you agree with. That what I'm trying to say is the reason why the word agnosticism exists and the word atheism, they sound different, is to project different worldviews. And so
atheism is not a worldview, and neither is agnosticism.
Why can't it be? Why? But
because it makes no declaration. It makes no declarations about what you do believe.
You could have a worldview without a declaration.
I'm not saying atheists don't have.
You could have a worldview without a declaration.
How?
Somebody who's born mute and somebody who can't write, they could have a worldview without a declaration.
They still have.
They have a first person. Could they have a first person subjective view in their biological life?
Things you believe are what determine your worldview.
Yeah, but you don't need to declare it. It's not a necessity. You can still have a worldview without declaration.
I wasn't saying you have to make a verbal declaration. I'm saying that you have to have beliefs in order for a worldview to develop. Maybe. Your beliefs define your worldview.
Yeah. Okay.
Not your disbeliefs, not what what you're not convinced of. Like, what I'm saying is atheism answers only one question. Are you convinced that God exists? If the answer is no, that's it. That's as far as atheism goes. It makes no other declarations about life, makes no other beliefs about life. Atheists now, as people, sure, they have other beliefs and they develop worldviews. Like, I'm a humanist, I'm a hedonist. There's all kinds of things I can say. But as an atheist, I make no declarations about a worldview. I have no worldview as an atheist. Just strictly being atheism. I mean,
no, you do have a worldview when it comes to Bible theology, correct?
Sorry. So let me correct that again. As an atheist, I have worldviews. I'm saying atheism in and of itself does not speak to worldviews. It doesn't have
I know, I get it. I get that. But if you wanted to teach this on an academic level, you
right? But my point in saying that is it is the neutral position. That's what
you're saying. Atheism is the neutral position.
Yes, it's the default undecided neutral position.
I know that the word atheism has evolved. How 50 years ago. So I get it. I don't know.
And I'm not, look, if you don't want to call yourself an atheist, fine, be my guest.
It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. I just think that every time I hear the word atheist, in the general terms, it just means somebody who does not believe that there is a God, or somebody who's convinced and that there is no God, and that
Yeah,
when
I
you
know.
die,
You're only seeing the Gnostic atheists, and apparently there's the only ones you talk to, and I'm not sure why.
No. Well, first and foremost, I do know about your views. I do. Nothing that you've presented I haven't heard before. But what I'm trying to say is I don't think that there has
That's
to
weird,
be.
because at the beginning you told me I made this up.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, at the beginning you were arguing this was just my view and I had no support, and now you're saying that you've heard this before.
No, I was talking about your diagram.
I may have drawn the diagram, but it's not. I've seen this diagram. I have seen this diagram before. I just did it. I did this one myself. Like I tweaked it a little bit to make it like, you know, on my own computer, but like for the most part, it's the same diagram you'll find.
Oh, so you got this. You got this from, from somebody. That's what I was asking you, where you got it from. You kept saying you made this up.
I did make this. I literally went to Photoshop and made this.
Okay, but the framework with the four.
Yes, the framework is not mine. Not at all.
That's what I said. This framework. I was saying this diagram.
No, it's not mine. I'm not that smart.
Okay. But that's what I was questioning at first. And then what's wrong with this one, by the way? Why can't we just keep it simple like this, Alan? That's all I'm trying. I like this one. Like, why can't we keep it like this?
Because agnosticism doesn't speak to belief. It speaks to knowledge.
Yeah, it is. It speaks. Yes, it does. You believe.
This diagram confuses a position. This diagram confuses what theism is. It makes it sound like there's a position between theism and atheism, and there isn't, because agnosticism is the opposite of Gnosticism, not theism.
I like this first one better.
Well, I know you like it because it's where you came in with, but I'm telling you, that's not.
Even if I didn't come up with it, I could look at this through the scientific method. I said, "What's the problem with this?"
You know what would fix this one? If we just did a dash on the other side of Gnostic on the bottom and just wrote Gnostic. That would fix it, because then you'd have all four of them there, and then we'd have the same diagram we have in the other one.
Yeah, I think you could put the Gnostic before the agnostic. I put it on the left.
Well, I mean, okay, but more clearly, it would go underneath exactly the opposite of agnostic, because that's what it is. It's not. It's like agnosticism and Gnosticism speak to each other. Theism and atheism speak to each other.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say, I would put Gnosticism right after theist view, because they're still declaring secretive knowledge, and that's what the original Christians were, according to critical scholars. They were Gnostic.
Again, why do you keep equating belief and knowledge as if they're identical? I understand your point.
That's what I'm trying to say. But they're so so then percentage-wise, how are they different within? Even though they're
100% different. One's about belief and one's about knowledge.
Okay, even though they are located in the same spot of the brain, which
just like emotions, like I was saying earlier, you still speak about emotions.
But emotions would inquire more properties of your nervous system. That's all I'm trying to say.
Dude, I would totally disagree. In my book, I actually have a lot of quotes. You've read it.
Okay, I know, but you're saying that
psychologists that demonstrate that beliefs actually affect the nervous system, not just emotions.
No, I agree. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that belief and knowledge are physically located in the same region of the brain, correct? The frontal cortex, correct?
Everything we do is. Same with our heart. Heart pumping comes from the brain.
No. I'm sorry. That's where you're wrong, because the amygdala affects the worldview as well. And it helps regulate the emotions. It's not just the frontal cortex. So then why isn't morals and ethics located in the amygdala?
I don't know the answer to that.
I know, because they're fundamentally the same, because they're located in the same region.
Okay.
Okay. So
there's no problem with that.
Between the two, in order to make a distinction between knowledge and belief, you'd have to get into a physical retardation. You'd have to start getting into a physical impediment, like a severely autistic person, a mentally retarded person. Then you can start making those differences. But since we're functioning and our brains are the same, they're very, very synonymous. And
so let me ask you something then. Let me ask you something. If you're an agnostic, are you also atheist?
No, I think that those words
But I thought you just said they're exactly the same because they're coming from the same spot in the brain.
Okay, you said
according to your logic, you're all four of them.
No, because theism. You're right, because the imagination is all in the frontal cortex as well. It's still in that frontal cortex region.
So what would you call yourself? An agnostic, Gnostic, atheist, theist?
And okay, and what's the proposition? The whole thing is about whether a God exists or not. So what's the fundamental core common denominator? God.
In this particular
That's why
thing, yes.
that's why atheism was never in the ancient world.
But here's
That's
why
atheism was never in the ancient world.
Here's why I
Because the
said,
brains weren't developed. That's why atheism was not in the ancient world. Because
so what
the
I said,
human brains were progressing
what I
that
said
way.
earlier about agnosticism, and it separates from theism in that you can be agnostic about more than just the question of God. This chart would
Correct.
work with other things. You can replace theist and atheist with supernatural. You can replace it with angels. You can replace it with demons. Just pick whatever belief you're talking about, and
Right.
it still functions on the same chart with Gnosticism and agnosticism. You can be certain that the supernatural exists, or you can be uncertain the supernatural exists, or angels or demons or whatever. So
Yeah, let's want to get to the comments, by the way.
so they're different in that way, is what I'm saying. Like anything can replace the theist and atheist words, but they can't replace the agnostic and Gnostic words, because agnosticism and Gnosticism speaks to knowledge, what you know about the subject that's crossing that line.
Yeah,
In this case, God.
Yeah.
And so your agnosticism or Gnosticism dictates what you believe about God. So you either believe one exists or you aren't convinced one exists.
I don't know. No, I don't know about that. I could still, I don't know about you, but I remember being a Christian. I remember saying that if I wasn't born in church, I probably would be an agnostic and an atheist. But even though I believed, I had knowledge, but they were conflicting. That's why the unraveling, because the belief and the knowledge conundrum, they're conflicting, but they're still one and the same. They're still two sides of the same coin. They're inseparable. So to try to get at that, it's like, well, that's splitting hairs. It's like two sides of the same coin. They're different, but they're also the same. They're different, but they're also the same. Now, what percentage? They're splitting hairs.
It seems to me like, regardless of how much you demonstrate that they're so synonymous like this, which is totally fine with me because they're coming from the same spot in the brain, they're inseparable, fine. I can work with all that. What I'm surprised about is because you're making that case so strongly, why you can't just say, you're right, I'm an agnostic atheist. Because that's what you are.
The proposition is not, am I an agnostic atheist? Because then I would have not have debated you. The proposition is, am I an atheist?
Well, that was shorthand. That was shorthand because I already know you're an agnostic.
I fold. I'm an agnostic atheist, but I'm not an atheist.
That's all I wanted to demonstrate.
The proposition. Is the word agnostic, atheist in the proposition?
No, you are correct. It is not.
So therefore, that's exactly to the T what I'm saying. That there's a reason why these two words are different. There's a reason why. Okay, so the proposition is not whether or not I'm an agnostic atheist, which is what you're trying to convince me of. That's not the proposition. The proposition, am I solely identified with that word alone? And that answer is no. And you already just admitted, I'm an agnostic atheist. Fine, I'm an agnostic atheist.
I mean, I'm an agnostic atheist, but I also don't have a problem with just saying I'm an atheist. Because
that's you. But the proposition is, am I one? I'm saying no, you can't do that.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, if you are an agnostic atheist, you're also an atheist.
No.
Well, of course you
can. I'm not claiming agnostic. You're saying that that's what I am, and I said fine, that's what it is. But the proposition, am I an atheist? And I'm trying to say that's a difference then. So,
all right, well, you know what? I'll settle. I'll settle for however far we got with this, because I was further than I thought I'd get. So if you're an agnostic atheist, consider this a victory. We'll just be happy.
Yeah, I'm an agnostic atheist. But I don't. But the reason why is I don't like using that term because it sounds confusing. It's like, wait, I don't get it. If I use that to a student in high school, okay, they're gonna be like, what? That's what I'm trying to say. Don't make it so complicated for the public.
But what I think I'm trying to do, what I think is important is that we demonstrate that theism does not rule the day. And the only way to do that is to speak to the opposite of it. I am not a theist. I am an atheist. And there needs to be more of those people in this world to show.
Yeah, I guess. And then when you say that to the common person, they're going to say, okay, they're convinced that there is nothing at all out there at all. And then you're going to say, no, that's not the case. And it's just going to make it much more confusing. That's what I'm trying to say.
I can see. I mean, I understand then why you're adamant about keeping agnosticism in there, because that's why I also call myself an agnostic atheist, because I want to make sure people know I'm in that bottom right square. I'm not in all the other three. It's
okay, well, how about the, okay, I'll say this. I'll side with the atheist before I side with a theist. That's for sure. So if there's a community of atheists, I would side with them before I go to the. But it depends on what though, right?
But I'm not sure I would side.
I might want to side with the Christians for my survival. I might want to survive. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm not sure I'd side with a Gnostic atheist though, because That's a big claim to carry, man. I'm not sure you can defend that.
You wouldn't side with an agnostic atheist?
No, I wouldn't side with a Gnostic atheist that
Oh, a
makes the
Gnostic
claim
atheist.
that
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
that
Oh,
there
yeah, I
is no
wouldn't say that.
God. That is a very strong claim that I don't know you can defend.
No Gnosticism. Yeah, when it comes to Gnosticism, none of that. That's for sure. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're on the same page then. But I hope we understand now that agnostic atheism is not a declaration that there is no God. It's not a declaration that there isn't the possibility that there could be one out there, even that it's just some intelligent mind. All of these are possibilities. But
Okay, how come I just can't say I'm an agnostic anti-theist? There it is.
Well, I'm an anti-theist too. These are all different words, and they mean different things.
Gosh, man, I know.
But anti-theism speaks to what you do not like and do not wish, not what you do not believe. There's a difference.
Oh,
yes.
no.
Anti-theism is what you're against, not
All
what
right.
you disbelieve.
Okay. Let me look it up, not to disprove you, but let me look it up so that way I can stop using this then. Anti-theist definition.
It means you're against there being a God.
Opposed to the belief in the existence of God or gods.
Correct. You're against it.
There it is. My belief is that I know. I'm an anti-theist would be, and this is how I've heard Christopher Hitchens use it, is that I'm against any religious dogma tied to a literature. So if there's a literature,
typically that's the way it is used.
And that's why I say this publicly. So I could speak to the general public. That's why I don't want to say atheism, because it speaks to the general public. That's why.
But I mean, I'm with you. I'm also an anti-theist because I'm opposed to religious structures. I agree with that. But I think I'm also opposed to a God that controls everything and dictates. I've seen enough of them in this world. I'm not sure I ever want to see another one. So you can be an anti-theist and still be a theist. You realize that, right? Like I can be completely opposed to worshiping a God, for example, but I can still believe one exists.
That would be an agnostic.
No, that would just be an anti-theist.
No, an anti-theist means you're against any religious literature.
You're against him, right? But it doesn't speak to belief. So I might be convinced there's a God, but I also may be against him completely.
Yeah, that's true. But that's not. I don't think that's how most anti-theists are, though. I don't think they define it.
Typically, no. Well, no, I think all anti-theists. I think all anti-theists hold that position.
I know, Alan. I'm just trying to say I don't want to proclaim atheism at all because of the basic masses of that view of that word. That's why I know it's evolved. I know that you can add on a little language scheme on it and tie it to. I get it. That's why I don't disagree with you. I read your books and I don't disagree with you. I think that there's splitting hairs and I don't think it's worth the debate though. But when it comes to some things, I'll recap with this: the neutral part. That part you seem to be really against. Like there has to be a black and white.
No, I think neutral is fine. I'm just saying neutral is the white, if you will, or the black. Pick a side, whatever. Neutral is the default position. It's the unconvinced position. So I'm saying neutral is undecided, the same as unconvinced, because they're all synonyms.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to say that I'm unconvinced because I'm still believing that there could be a possibility that I could be convinced otherwise.
All right. So from now on,
the phenomena of that present moment.
That's fine. So from now on, when you call yourself neutral, I'll just wink and be like, I know what you mean.
Okay. All right, how about this? What if I just say I'm a okay?
You're an atheist. I get it.
What if I just say I'm a phenomenologist then?
I don't even know what you mean by that.
That a phenomenology is a major criterion in epistemology, and so I don't have to make the verbal declaration that you're saying. I can remain neutral because I'm still in the phenomena of waiting to play it out.
Well, that's what atheist is, man. We are simply in the phenomena.
No, but that's not generally. That's not generally.
Are you neutral about unicorns, or are you unconvinced they exist?
I'm neutral about, but a unicorn and creation having a mind are two different categories.
It's not two different categories because you know nothing about either.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You know nothing about either one. You have no evidence to support that either one.
No, I do believe the design factor. I do give. That's why I give warrant because of the design factor.
Horses exist, so why don't you think unicorns might?
I haven't seen them. So, and because there hasn't been
any. I'm going
to explain why. Because there hasn't been enough coherent verification for me to believe. But there's plenty of coherent verification.
If there was, then you'd be a
reason for it. If the masses, that's why I went back to the majority rules factor, which we never get away from. It's a brute fact in the scientific method. Majority rules. Yes or no? That's a brute fact in the conclusion of the hypothesis and the theory, the very preliminary stages of the scientific method. Okay. The conclusion of it is what?
The conclusion of it is what you're asking?
Yeah. So if you look at the scientific method, okay, being neutral is the being undecided or not decided. That is where I am presently at. And that is the way you're supposed to filter the scientific method. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm still in the scientific method. There has not been no conclusions. But you're saying about the unicorns, well, there's not enough coherent verification with intelligent minds. I like intelligent minds.
Science in no way even has a model that includes a designer. What are you talking about? There's not even a single model in the scientific world.
You're saying there's no unicorns. Okay, yeah, because there hasn't been enough coherent verification.
There isn't any coherent verification that there's a God of any sort.
There is plenty of people who are making that.
The theists are the only scientists. The theists are the only scientists making a case about this.
Okay, but we know that the majority of the human race, they believed in some sort of gods. That's the coherent verification relies on the theists, right?
They do, because atheism is new. Atheism is new. No. It's that prior to the development of science, they didn't know any better. They were ignorant, and they thought this was the best answer.
I get that. I know. But they were.
There's a reason now why atheism exists, because there's too many in the world.
I understand that, but I don't think the unicorn analogy is certain. It's not fair when it comes to the existence of a creator. I don't think that's a fair one.
I mean, I don't see why not. I don't understand why not. I mean, they literally have the same amount of evidence.
No, I don't think so.
What's the evidence that there is a designer?
What you're talking about is, unless you want to say that a unicorn is behind creation, or that if you're making a declaration of whether they exist, or did a unicorn create this? See, that's different.
No, I'm just asking. Well, I mean, if a unicorn does exist, it may very well have created this. We don't know.
Well, that would be a large leap.
I mean, they're magical, just like anything else that exists beyond.
Yeah, but that'd be adding too much. That's adding too much, right? They say they
and
exist,
just coming up with a designer, and just a designer is not adding too much, bro.
I don't know.
The gap you have to leap.
Okay, but the leprechauns and the invisible and the flying spaghetti monster, that's not. I don't think that's suitable when it comes to could there be an invisible mind out there that is.
Why is it not suitable? Because it doesn't sound suitable to you?
No, because I think the anthropic principle is warranted. Many philosophers and scientists believe in the anthropic principle. That the brain is geared towards universe and mind.
That doesn't mean that the designer, if there was one, isn't a unicorn.
I understand that, but I'm trying to say that I don't think that's a fair analogy for
you don't think it is because you don't prefer that option. It doesn't sound good enough to you, but like you have no grounds to say it's anything else. It's just all a leap of faith. It's like, well, there's got to be something. We don't know there's got to be something. We literally don't know that, man.
Yeah, I know.
Which is why you're still not a theist, and which is why you were an agnostic atheist. Thank you.
I guess. But I'm not an atheist. And that's the proposition.
Jesus Christ. All right, so what do we both win then? Is that how this works?
There it is. It's a tie. It's a draw. Right? It's a draw. Right. That means it's neutral.
We tied. Yeah.
Neutral. That means it's
I love it. We tied.
I love it. All right. Okay, let's get to the
debate after the tie like that. That's awesome.
I love it. Okay, so let's go. Atheism is a negation of theism, lacking belief in agnosticism. Okay, let's see here. Atheism should be defined as a proposition. Gods does not exist, as there are major philosophical issues with the non-academic psychological definition of atheism. What do you have to say about this, Alan?
I'm not even sure I understand what he's saying. Major philosophical issues with the non-academic psychological definition. I don't know what that means. What is he talking about? Can you explain it?
Atheism should be defined as the proposition. As simple as this: gods or God does not exist. And I agree with that. Just keep it as simple.
Well, I don't agree with that, because that is not the meaning of atheism. Listen. When you negate something, you're not making a declarative statement against it. You're simply saying not that.
No, you are.
No, you're saying not that.
Is there intentionality in the emergence of what you're about to share? Is there intentionality behind that? Yes or no?
Like these next words I'm about to share, you mean?
No. You're talking about, you say you can't you can't declare something that's a negative or something like that, right? Like you're saying
No,
you
I'm not
can't
saying
declare a
you
negative.
can't. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying the negation with the all that simply means is you're not convinced that that thing that's being declared or claimed is true. That's what the means.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to stop there. That's what I'm
No, it
trying to
doesn't
say.
have to, which is why
No,
you
and it
have
shouldn't. No, and
categories.
it shouldn't. In order to be ethical and for the scientific method, it shouldn't. You have to hear the other sides. There's more. You're
Yes.
talking about one side.
Yes,
of
you
the
hear
dice.
the other sides, and until you become convinced of any of them, you remain in the position, not
neutral.
convinced.
The
Right.
neutral.
Sure. The
The
neutral
neutral.
position. Yes, the neutral position, the
I
atheist
know
position.
you were saying that the neutral doesn't exist earlier.
I'm saying no, I was saying it's the same thing as the unconvinced position. I didn't say it doesn't exist.
Okay, you're right. You're saying that it's the same thing as the unconvinced.
Yes, undecided. Unsure,
Yes.
uncertain, pick your word.
Yeah, but that's fine. But that doesn't make me an atheist, though. That doesn't make me
on the subject of God, it does.
No, it doesn't. I'm telling you, it doesn't.
Well, then you're a theist.
Words.
You can't be.
I feel like I'm.
You cannot be.
You used to be a CBV full preterist. I could tell. You believed in that covenantal change stuff.
Yeah. You cannot be both convinced and unconvinced at the same time.
Did your brain ever believe and convinced of the covenantal resurrection? Because my brain never went there with these word games. Your brain actually went there. You were preaching that on pulpits.
I believed in it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous now, right?
Well, when you say ridiculous,
do you believe that the change in mortality and the catching away with the same?
I mean, I think the whole Bible is ridiculous. I think the whole.
I know, but what I'm trying to say
is ridiculous. But the view if I were to interpret, if I would interpret the Bible still and give you my position of what I think it teaches, I would still maintain. I would still maintain that position
too. I know. I think it's ridiculous, but what I'm trying to say is, I think that these are word games. I'm saying I feel like I'm talking to a CBV full preterist, and I go, "Oh my goodness, you used to be one," but because I never was a CBV full preterist, I could never buy into hearing words and then thinking of the mental imagery of what that metaphoric stuff was, and then that's all that it was. I couldn't butcher the words like that, and that's what I'm trying to say.
I don't know how.
Agnosticism, I'm not trying to butcher them. The reason why there are two different words is because they're supposed to present two different perspectives, and they're supposed to remain different. That's why I like this chart, which I'm not trying to hold this chart up, by the way. Let me put this, which I was just trying to hold that chart up. What's wrong with that chart?
Because it's not accurate.
It says two. Because who made that chart then?
Because you're trying to say that agnosticism is the neutral position between theism and atheism. And that's just not. That's not
I get it. I just feel like the word games. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyways,
it's not word games, especially when they're accurate definitions. I'm not playing word games. I'm presenting accurate definitions, biblical. I mean, dictionary definitions, scholarly definitions. There's nothing unique about what I'm presenting here. And also with the covenant view, I also don't think it was word games. I think there's plenty of usage, even in our language, where we use the word body in a corporate sense. It's just not a crazy idea at all.
No, I was talking about the covenant. I was talking about the covenantal change of being caught up together to meet Christ in the air.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't need to debate
that's what I'm trying to say. When you hear words, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think that I don't know. There has to be some dividing point. What I'm trying to say is, I agree with you so much. I don't think this should even been a debate. Because
I agree, but I couldn't get you to admit you were an atheist.
I know, but you were trying to convince me that I was an agnostic atheist, and I said, okay.
Well, that's step two. Step two is to remove the agnosticism.
I know,
but I don't care, because honestly, like, they work, like we've agreed, they work together and they explain something very specific. So we are both agnostic atheists, and I'm happy with that conclusion. Good enough.
Yeah, but I'm not though. I'm not going to say that though. I'm not going to project and say, "Oh, I'm an agnostic atheist," because I don't even want to include the atheism, because that is going to confuse 99.9% of the public, of humanity.
So what that does is it continues to allow theism to rule the day, because all you're declaring is saying, well, I'm agnostic and I can't know which God is true.
Are you prophesying that? Are you making a declaration?
No, this isn't a prophecy. This is a statement of where we currently stand.
No, but you said that you made a declaration of a future, that if we don't change and reform this, then theism is going to.
Yeah, that's going to. Yeah,
that's a declaration. So. And I'm saying, nah, don't make that declaration.
I think one of the reasons theism hangs on is because we don't have enough people saying that they're atheists. I think it's a big deal.
No, maybe, but that would be anecdotal in your own first person subjective view. But to make a prediction of that's what's going to happen in the future, I'm saying no, that's forced certitude. Just because people are not staunchly proclaiming atheism now, it gives a foothold on theism. That's not true.
Well,
Because
no,
somebody's religious beliefs has one like 90% to do with the political framework
what I'm
of
trying
where
to
they're
say,
at demographically. So it's not so much the ideology; it's the political framework.
what
Like
I'm trying to say is, that when atheism is not considered an acceptable view that is just legitimate and substantiated by society, we continue to be the underdogs and treat it as though theists are accurate. And what I'm saying is, if we want that to change, then I think atheism needs to become a normative view in our society, a view that everybody just accepts as normal, so that you're either a theist or an atheist, and there's no big deal about it. It's not like, oh, those weird atheists. No, it just becomes normal because, oh, okay, well, some people are atheists and some people are theists. I think that allows the conversation to be better, because then we don't have to hide in our little circles and pretend
because they're gonna go to the design factor, and you're gonna have a hard time with that one, regardless of what you say. The design factor, then you're gonna get into the concept of morals and ethics, and we know this.
I don't mind morals. That's an easy conversation.
We could argue and say agnosticism will deconvert theists more than atheists. How about that?
Well, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, they are, because we're not believing, let's say, for example, Yahweh or the Trinity. We say, well, that's all myth.
Right. Well, I'm not saying that agnosticism isn't also important, but our debate is about atheism, because
I think that agnosticism can deconvert the theist before the atheist can. What if I make that declaration?
Well,
atheism is a tool.
You're not saying anything that I disagree with. Like, again, as we've said so many times today, they're so closely related. It's just one speaks to knowledge, one speaks to belief. So yes, obviously the knowledge part has to happen, because you're using arguments and convincing people of something first. And then once they're convinced or unconvinced, now it's speaking to
right. That is where we differ fundamentally, is that the difference between knowledge and belief. Like, you're making the distinction that agnosticism speaks to one category and atheism speaks to another category. And I'm saying those categories are in the 90th percentile synonymous. And so there's no need to even go there. That's where we differ right there.
Can you help me on this 90th?
You're saying, that's what I'm trying to tell. That's what I'm trying to say. You're saying that agnosticism speaks to a different category than atheism. You're saying belief and knowledge, that they're categorically different. That's what you're saying, correct?
Belief and knowledge are categorically different, yes.
And I'm trying to say that they're categorically in the 90th percentile, functionally and neurologically the same in the 90th percentile.
Well, I think functionally, I would even say they're 100% the same.
Oh, there it is. Functionally, pragmatically. Yes, pragmatism is a major criterion in epistemology. Sure. Yes. So not only do I have coherentism, now you've given me pragmatism. I got two criterions of epistemology.
Yeah, the argument isn't that they don't function the same. The argument is that they are distinct in what they speak to.
What they speak to?
Yes, atheism speaks to belief or disbelief, and the other one, agnosticism, speaks to knowledge.
And I'm trying to say that should not be much. That's too much of a splitting hair. That's what I'm trying to say.
So earlier you were pressing me. Why do you think this word? You were saying, why do you think neutral exists? Why do you think a neutral exists? Why do you think these two different words exist if it's not important?
I didn't say it wasn't important. I say these two words exist because they project different mental imageries, different frameworks, different views. That's why they're pronounced differently. Well, that's why agnosticism is different than atheism. Yeah, it is, because if I say I'm a theist, that's categorically different than when I make the small little a, atheist. Once I add on that little that changes everything.
Sure. Right. Same with Gnosticism and agnosticism.
And that's what I'm trying to say. The reason why they sound different, and I'm pulling from Ludwig Wittgenstein, student of Bertrand Russell, the reason why they sound different is because they're projecting different mental images that are different worldviews. And they should remain different. They should remain different. That's what I'm trying to say. They should be. That's why they're sounding different.
They should.
And they can't be.
Okay.
Okay. Let's look this up. Is an agnostic synonymous to an atheist? Let's look it up. Let's see if we can find a synonym.
No,
Let's see. There it is. That's why. Yes, that's why. Because they are categorically, fundamentally
different. I agree. They function similarly, but they're not the same. I think it's the case I've been trying to make the whole time. They're categorically different.
Okay. But they're so intrinsic on the 90th percentile that it's not worth the debate. It's not worth even going there. That is where you and I differ. I agree with you, but to go there and then make that distinction to say, no, now you must say you're an agnostic atheist, I'm saying you're splitting hairs way too much.
So interestingly, if they're that the same, then why don't you want to just call yourself an atheist?
Because the atheists, generally speaking, on the core value that there is no God, and they are convinced, and that's what they believe. They claim to have knowledge, or they're convinced, and that is what they believe. And that's how the general public. That's what I'm trying to say. If I go to a student, a common person on the street, that's my audience. That's why I say on camera in our Facebook groups, they're going to think that is what an atheist is. And you know that's how the general public. You're trying to reform that, and I respect that. I'm just saying that's why I don't project atheism, because it's gonna put me into a group where the common person is gonna think, oh, he doesn't believe that there's any evidence that there's a God.
No, and I understand that. And my question isn't whether you're willing or desire to declare that publicly. I'm saying, you seem very against even saying in a setting like this. Yeah, sure, I'm an atheist.
I don't want to associate atheism with me,
but
that's why.
But it's either true or it isn't. You're either an atheist or you're not.
No, it's not so black and white. You're neutral. That's the scientific
message. Fucking I can't even with you, man.
I know.
I'm like going in circles with this, man. We've already saw that they're all synonyms.
Yeah, but I'm not the one going in circles. You're the one that's emerging this by making these nuanced terms and challenging me to debate whether I'm an atheist. I didn't challenge to debate you.
Oh my God.
An agnostic, I get it.
These terms.
I get it. An agnostic is a person. You know what? Let me just say this. Maybe Alan is you try to teach math to some people, they're just not getting it, and it takes time and repetition. Maybe, Alan, you're saying something to me that my brain is just not registering. Maybe you see something, a horizon that I'm just not registering, and it's going to take me time. So please be patient with me, okay? Because I'm trying to think about this, am I an atheist thing? But you're saying that I'm an agnostic atheist, and there's a belief and knowledge, and I hear everything.
Let me put it this way. You're an agnostic and you're an atheist.
No.
And that's what makes you an agnostic atheist.
No, I'm just an agnostic. That means I don't know. And that's it. I don't know. I'm neutral, and I'll wait to see how it's played out. I'm seeing all the sides, and I think that everyone has strong arguments. Everyone has warrant to believe. That's why we all bought into it at some point in our lives.
So if you don't,
I don't know.
If you don't know, then therefore you also don't believe it.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I believe something.
I believe that I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. You can also believe that, but that doesn't speak to the question.
I believe I don't know. There it is right there.
Totally different question.
Why can't I? Can I believe I don't know, or can't?
That's not a question of theism. That's a question of
that's a declaration. That's my worldview. I believe I don't know. I'm a phenomenologist. I don't know. I just believe in the phenomena of the present moment. Cool. We're in a simulation. Okay, how about this? What about simulation? That's what this is where it gets interesting, Alan. Let me get you. I really, in my feelings, I hold to simulation theory. I like it. Is that atheistic? Is that agnostic?
I say it's a possibility.
But does an atheist hold to a simulation theory?
We don't hold to anything. We withhold belief until we have a good reason to believe it.
Okay, so do you have reason to believe that a simulation exists?
No, I have reason to believe it's a possibility, but I don't have reason to believe it.
What percentage is that possibility?
That
matters.
How you calculate
that matters.
Calculate that.
That matters. Okay, like for example, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? They wind up calling somebody, go, hey, I got this question, right? And they ask him, how sure are you? They go, I'm 50-50. Or 90%.
But that's a game. That's guessing, dude. That's not an accurate number. You're asking me to give you something accurate that I can't possibly do.
Fine. Then let's bring it in a judiciary setting, a real life setting. When someone is on a stand, the lawyer asks, how convinced? Many have even asked, like, out of 1 out of 10, what do you say that this person on the lineup is? What percentage? Why can't I use percentages to quantify truth? Why can't I use numbers to quantify truth?
Well, it depends if you're talking about statistics or math
No,
or
why
something like
can't
that.
I
You
use,
can't. You
okay,
can't when it comes to emotional
why
feelings.
can't I? Who says you? Who says who?
You can throw a number on it, but there's no way to calculate it.
Okay, that's why I'm asking you personally. What's your percentage? What would be your percentage then about that possibility? What percentage? Has to be levels to that.
I mean, I suppose it's, gosh, man, that's a hard one.
Thank
I
you.
guess
That's
when
what
we're
I'm trying
talking
to
about possibilities, maybe I'll say they're all 100% possible.
But you then that's you can't. That's coexist. That's that sticker sign coexist.
But
You
that's
guys
why,
are all 100% possible.
that's
No,
why I remain
sorry.
unconvinced until there's sufficient evidence. Let me give you an analogy. Let me give you an analogy as to why I'm saying this is possible. Have you ever played the game Clue?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you narrow it down to Mr. Green in the library, but you still don't know the weapon. Any of the other weapons are 100% possible at that point because you don't know which one it
It doesn't
is.
have to be that way. I could say no. By deduction, I could say that these weapons are most likely. Then that can happen. For you to say, "Fuck no, it can't." I'm saying no. There is that way.
And that's
you have
fine.
an option. You have an options on what the murder weapon is. Well, this one is less likely, but it's still. And this is where people say, let me just say this. They go, well, possible is not the correct term. You should say plausible. Oh, okay. So plausibility means
well, it has to be possible first.
Likelihood. Or so you have plausibility and then probability and then possibility. And so
no. You start with possibility. Possibility, then plausibility, then probability.
You know, it says who?
Well, that's the order. It has to be possible first before it's even a plausible option.
Says who? Why are you deducting it that way? Why can't it be
like Matt Dillon?
Okay, that's like saying this. You have to read left to right. And I'm saying, no, you could also read right to left.
Well,
there are languages that start from the right and it goes to the left.
But that's not the same thing as logic.
Okay.
That's not the same thing as logic.
Okay. So plausibility is that it's still in that category of a potential truth, but it's very likely. That plause factor makes it the least. So it's not possible, it's plausible, which means it's less likely. That's why that word exists.
Well, whatever. I don't want to debate that. It's kind of pointless. But to my analogy,
no, that is right to the core because you're saying. I asked.
No, I'm saying I don't want to debate the order of possibility.
No. But I'm asking you. Okay, so then, what percentage do you believe in the possibility that God exists? What percentage? You said 100% for all of them.
Right. So what I'm saying is
that can't be true.
When you first start the game, every one of the tools are 100% possible. Because you have no idea anything that's going to happen. As you weed through the game and you start to eliminate some of the possibilities, some of them become impossible. Some of them become more plausible because now they're the only ones that remain. When you get down to, say, 2, now they're both probable.
Okay.
Then until you've eliminated that last one, you don't know for certain. So you cannot say.
I agree. Yes.
So what I'm saying is I remain unconvinced.
I know, but what percentage?
Until I've excluded all.
Okay, but what percentage?
Like I said, initially, all of them have 100% possibility, but I don't know which ones would be.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know about that statement right there. I don't think.
If you're forcing me to put a percentage, it's either 100% or 0%. Because how can you possibly put a percentage on something?
Yes, you can. You absolutely can put.
If you haven't evaluated it, how?
I don't think, Alan, that the atheist community would agree with that statement that you made about how all the religions could be 100% possible. I don't. What atheist?
Whoa! You didn't say it. You didn't ask me about religion.
You said that. I said, what percentage? Then
you asked me about.
I said, what percentage do you give the possibility that God exists? And you said, I give all of the religions 100% possibility.
No, that's not what I said.
You said that.
No.
And that's what I said.
And if I did, I misspoke because I did not mean to say that. I do not think all the religions.
And if I'm not remembering it correctly, then maybe I'm not remembering it correctly because that's why I had said that's coexist. That's the bumper sticker that they're all like the same.
You asked me about simulation or design or something like that.
It led up to what percentage do you give the possibility that God exists?
Yeah, sure, God, but that's not religions. I would not give all religions.
Okay, fine. But and I asked you, and the percentage that you had stated was 100. That is what came out of your mouth. So
that was
so then let me rephrase this. To what percentage do you believe that there's the possibility or the plausibility or the probability that God exists?
So when it comes to the Christian God, at this point, I'd say zero, because I can actually,
no, well, apart from religious literature, then.
Yeah. So just some mind, kind of what you're defining God as.
Yes. Oh,
yeah. I'd say because I can't evaluate it, it is 100% possible, just as much as simulation is possible, and just as much as
I've never heard. I don't know. I've never heard an atheist say that they believe that is a 100%.
Well, sure, but I've never heard an atheist be forced to give percentages either.
Oh, so. I know. That's my exactly. I'm glad.
So I'm saying once I have some evidence to evaluate about each of these possibilities.
No, you've had plenty of evidence. You have years of study. Okay, so let me say this. Is it illogical for me to put percentages to determine empirical truth according to the scientific method?
I mean, you can try and do it.
Is it logical or illogical? Which one? Since we're black and white, is it logical or illogical to use numbers and mathematics to quantify the truth?
To quantify
yes or no?
Truth or the possibilities? What are you asking?
Yes or no? I'm going to say yes. You can use numbers and you should use numbers. That's my stance. Do you disagree or do you agree with me?
I'm not sure what your question is, Yo.
Okay, because you're giving pushback because I'm asking you. You said I never had an atheist ask me about a percentage of the possibility, which you said 100. You said that you give the possibility of God's existence 100%. Holy shit! What the hell? That makes you a theist. How are you what atheist has ever made that statement?
No, because you asked me about possibility.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's different.
No, okay, fine.
That's different than even probability.
I said it like this, Alan. I said possibility, plausibility, or probability. What percentage? And it's been like 5 minutes. The one that came out of your mouth that you declared to humanity was 100% that you believe in the possibility that there is a God that exists. What atheist ever in history has made this statement?
I don't know. I've never heard an atheist.
I've never heard an atheist make that statement either. So I just converted you.
So what difference does that? What difference does that comparison make?
You just made a declaration as an atheist that you believe in the possibility 100% that God exists, and then if my memory serves me correctly, all of them.
It shares the equal. Well, no, not the Christian God, because there's some that I can actually.
The Christian God give a them, but all the Hindu and the Greek.
The Muslim God. No. There are some that I can actually. There's some that I'm confident do not exist. So I'm definitely a Gnostic atheist,
right? That's a percentage. That's a quantifying declaration. So you're numbering. You're saying this is more on the top. This is in the middle. This is in the bottom. We use mathematics to determine logic. That's the scientific method. We're using numbers. So I'm asking you as a percentage, what percentage do you believe God exists? And you declare to humanity that you believe 100%.
Nope, that's not what I said. Now you put words in my mouth. You asked me possibility. And you just changed it to definitive.
No. I said
your last sentence. You said you accused me of giving 100% certainty that God exists. You just changed it. Don't
fine. If I misspoke, okay, but I did.
Yeah, you did. Don't misspoke. That's not fair, dude.
But I did say possibility, plausibility, probability.
No, you asked me the possibility with your statistic. That was all you asked me.
Okay, all right.
And that's it.
And if that's not the case, I still haven't heard a different percentage. Do you hold or do you reject the 100% that you stated?
It depends on whether you're asking me about possibility.
Do you hold it? Okay. Okay, fine. Doesn't matter. That's why I included.
It does matter because when you start the game of Clue, every single one of the tools is possible.
And Alan, that's why I said all three.
You did not ask me.
I did say all three.
Let's go back and listen to this because you asked me specifically about possibility.
I bet you $1,000.
Okay. You said possibility. You asked me that
everybody
question.
Listen to this. Okay, $1,000. Do you shake? Virtual shake. I said this. I said, Alan, what is the percentage of the probability, plausibility, possibility that God exists? And you said 100%. I did say those three.
I don't remember that.
Okay. But I'm willing to bet $1,000.
I'm not actually going to bet money because my memory's not that good. I don't have $1,000.
$1,000. You get it for me. I'll give it to you. I'll Venmo you within 24 hours. Send it to you. That's what I'm trying to say.
I do not have $1,000 to do that bet with, so it's not.
Okay, fine. 100. Okay, all right, 100.
This is stupid. I'm not even fucking sure what the point of this conversation is.
Okay, the point of this is that I think it's very important because I'm asking you what percentage do you believe that possibility, probability, plausibility, all the illities, all the whatever, that God exists? And you said 100%.
You're not allowing me to explain what I'm trying to get at.
Okay, go ahead.
If you're starting with just possibility, as a general rule, when you don't have any other information, everything has 100% possibility because you're getting it. You have to begin somewhere with evidence being presented. Just like in the game of Clue, all the murderers are possibilities, all the rooms are possibilities, and all the tools are 100%. All of them are 100% possible because you don't know anything yet. Once you start moving into the categories of probability and plausibility and probability, and that, the percentages start to get a lot smaller.
And what is your current percentage?
If you're asking me what percentage of God do I definitely think is certain or whatever, I'd say 0 at this point because I don't think there is a chance.
I don't get it. Like I said,
you're asking about silly questions, dude. I can't give you actual percentages.
Silly question. You said it's silly, and I go, but
it is, man. I can't give you percentages.
I get to use numbers and mathematics when it comes to determining logical truth according to the scientific method.
No, you get to use
mathematics.
You're using your feelings about what you think is a higher percentage. I feel like this is like 60%.
Fine.
That's not a good way to draw conclusions.
Fine. Not feelings. What do you think about that? Not feelings.
It's the same thing. It's what you're.
It's the same thing. So then why are you belittling me?
This is not a scientifically viable way to determine truth. You can't just say, well, do you think it's 50% or 70%? Well,
yes, that is.
I feel like it's 65. 65%. This means it must be true. This is ridiculous, dude.
Okay, so wait. Hold on, wait. You mean to tell me that in a real life Christ, I can't pull up a court case, a real life Christ situation where a lawyer is asking them on a 1 out of 10, what do you think about a state of affair? And based upon that numeric declaration, it determines what the jury's going to decide. You're saying it's illogical to ask somebody, well, how much do you think if you were to say a 1 to 10? Like, for example, aesthetics. Like, how hot is a girl? Okay. How beautiful is a woman physically? We use what? 1 out of 10. And we determine coherent universal verification. Oh, this girl will never be a 10. Why? Because of the way she looks physically. In the scientific method, she'll never be a 10. We use numbers to determine things. And you're saying that's illogical.
When I ask you
what's the possibility that you
use numbers. Numbers in this case only dictate the feelings an individual has about their confidence in something.
No, their belief. I'm asking about your belief.
That's fine. Their belief, their confidence, same difference. But that's all that percentage does. It does not dictate truth because, for example, your thing with the girl. I might think she's a 10 out of 10. You might think she's a 5 out of 10. It's
but coherent. Okay, I get that. But coherently, universally, she wouldn't be.
Not.
If she was to be on a beauty pageant,
it doesn't matter because it's not a definitive factor of truth. It is subjective.
Majority rules. Like, for example, I could say, yeah. Well, okay. So then, minority rules. I'm not trying to say that. Okay.
Neither of those has any bearing on truth.
I am not trying to say that majority rules determines the truth. What I'm saying is that is a brute factual framework that we have according to the scientific method, that majority rules. That's why I asked you, okay, so then what, she would switch it to minority rules? No, it is a logical structure on deduction.
Well, I think atheism is the minority, and I think it should rule.
Okay. Well, but I'm just saying that the majority rules framework, that is the scientific method. And the majority rules, guess what? Involves numbers. It involves percentages. It involves mathematics. That's why I ask you for what number, what percentage of possibility.
No, dude, I cannot agree with your assessment here.
Okay, all right.
You're trying to make a case that because the majority of people will rate it at an 8 out of 10, that means that there's a greater possibility that it's true, and that has no bearing on truth. It just tells us.
All right. So that's not the
scientific
method. Why is it in the scientific method?
But that's not the scientific method.
Well, why
asking
is it
somebody their opinion, asking somebody their confidence level, it's not the scientific method.
I asked you what your belief was.
Same difference. Asking somebody their belief method, their belief level of 1 to 10 or 90% has no bearing on whether or not they're right or wrong, whether something's true.
I've never heard an atheist say what you had stated. That's all I'm trying to say.
I never have either. I've never heard anybody ask that question because
I know. Thank you. I know. That's why I was able to make history with the full preterists and got Don Preston.
I'm really trying to clarify what I was My God, this is so complicated. The question doesn't work because a person's opinion on percentage has no bearing on whether
It has a bearing. It
no,
has a
it does
bearing.
not. It's no bearing on whether something is true. It has bearing on whether they think it's true.
It's
That's totally
influence.
different.
Okay, but it does have a significant, respectable influence.
It has an influence on what they think is true. Period.
Okay, but it should never be
Doesn't
reversed.
influence the truth at all.
No, okay, yes, it does influence.
No, it doesn't. Your opinion has no bearing on whether it's true.
I'm sorry to tell. Okay, so for example, let's say I didn't see the boxing fight. The judges' scorecards had it 118 to 109, all three. Somebody goes, "Who do you think really won the fight?" I'm gonna say, "Well, if all three judges scored it like that, no. You see, percentages matter. You said it's silly for me to ask you a percentage on your belief on the possibility of God's existence." And I said, no, it's not silly.
It's silly if
it's scientific.
It's silly if you're using it to determine truth.
No, it is not. That's why in court they will ask you.
No, they're asking your confidence level. They're not asking.
No, I'm not
look,
asking.
If I'm in court and the guy and I'm asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that such and such happened? And if I say, well, I'm 10 out of 10 confident, well, then it must be truth.
Wow. No, that's okay. But okay, so for example,
that doesn't determine truth, man. It's just my opinion.
Okay. No, but it's logical to add numbers to it, correct? I understand it doesn't determine truth. Like I said, majority rules does not determine truth. But that is the scientific method that is a brute structure that you cannot change. That's why I asked you. So then you go like this, like, okay, so then minority rules? So then we should go to minority rules?
No, that's not the scientific method.
No, that would be illogical. The logical thing is to go to majority rules. And that dichotomy is a framework. It's deduction.
No, I disagree with that 100%.
All right.
Percentages has no bearing whatsoever on the truth factor.
Whatsoever.
Bearing on the people's thoughts.
Okay. All right. So then why do we vote?
Because percentages matter in that case. It makes the difference on the voting. That doesn't tell you whether the vote was correct.
Find me.
Does it tell you that the vote was correct?
Then why does time have numbers?
What? Time has numbers?
Why does time have numbers? Do you think it's illogical to put numbers on time?
No.
Okay, so because you had said that it was silly for me to ask you what percentage, and I'm saying it's not silly. If you respect the scientific method, I get to use numbers. I get to use numbers to determine truth. You're saying, well, it's not a determinant. Yes, I'm not saying that, but you're saying it's illogical and it's silly. I'm saying, no, it's not fucking silly. We use numbers.
If your goal is
in every important aspect of our life, numbers are used.
If your goal is to get to the truth, if your goal is to get to the truth, as opposed to my opinion of the truth, numbers matter not.
Ah, goodness, for you, because I know, because that's why you didn't like the question. And
no, the percentage. If I said to you, I'm 100% certain God exists, does that mean God exists?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It only means I think God exists.
No, you were criticizing me and said it was silly.
It is silly because what does that question help in determining truth?
So imagine this. Hey, so my car is going to explode. I'm about to catch on fire, I think. I'm talking to my mechanic. What's the percentage that my car is going to catch on fire? Do you think that his percentage is going to influence what might happen?
I can't even imagine he's going to give an answer to that. That's just weird.
Okay,
but answers a question about how percentage.
Fine. Let me just say this. Yeah, because I'm using an empirical object. Okay, fine. If I say, hey, out of one, like a stand-up or a stand-up line, which person out of these 10 subjects, which one did you see the night of this such and such? And they go, that one. They go, how convinced are you? And then they'll even throw in out of 1 out of 10. That's why when you take a lie detector test, they're looking at it numerically. They're quantifying using numbers.
Dude, and I'm not saying
no, but you said it was silly for me to use numbers to quantify.
Because we're trying to get at truth, not somebody's opinion.
I know. That's why I asked you your opinion about your beliefs. And
if you want my opinion, that's fine. But my opinion doesn't determine whether or not
I know that. But I'm just saying you use the word 100%. And I'm thinking that's no.
Because we were talking about a general look. I'm not saying I think currently that a God is even possible. I'm saying that as a general rule, when you begin at neutral and you don't have any information, every other option is possible on the table because you don't have any information to gather before
you have information. We do have information.
before you
have
start to gain a
information.
clue, you know nothing except the items.
I know, but that's not us. You and I, we're not new converts. We're not new human beings.
No, I know. I'm agreeing with you in the state we're currently in. But I thought you were asking me, as a general rule, when you begin with possible, what's your percentage? And I said, well, when I begin with possible, I usually go with 100% and say,
I asked you, no, Alan, I asked you point blank. Okay, so what do you believe? The possibility, plausibility, probably that God exists.
Right.
And all I was saying was that I asked you a percentage. And you said that to ask me to throw in a numeric quantifying attempt to make a computation, you said that was silly. And I'm saying that is the most ridiculous thing. How can you uphold to the scientific method and not use mathematics and not use, that's how we got science and quantum physics. So quantum is quantifying. You're adding on a numeric structure to determine the logical conclusion. And you said it was silly for me to ask you. And I'm saying, no,
dude,
it's not.
I still think it is, man. I think this conversation's going nowhere. What exactly are you getting at by finding out the percentage of confidence I have in something? What does that have anything to do with truth?
Well, you were questioning, but you were questioning my paradigm, and all I did was question yours. And if you ask me about the possibility of God exists, I say, I kind of feel like the majority would rule that there is a mind out there that exists. I say the majority. You say, what percentage? Maybe 60, 70. I say 70%.
Exactly 70%. My point. You're just guessing. You're just saying, well, I feel like this. That's not a scientific way to determine things.
Fine. No feelings. I just say based upon logic. And I think 70.
You can't give a percentage based upon logic when it comes to this.
But I can. Okay. But I say 70%.
Okay, sure. You just picked a number.
You're an atheist, and you said 100%, and that's all I'm trying to say. The word 100% never came out of my mouth.
So it's like this. If I say there's 0% chance, then now I'm a Gnostic on that subject, whatever it may be, whether it's a God or a supernatural being or an angel, whatever you name it. If I say I'm 0% possibility, I might as well just say don't even present the evidence because I'm 100% convinced it doesn't exist. So I'm saying when it comes to possibility, if you don't start with saying, hey, there's 100% possibility that your proposition is true, you just have to present the evidence. And the worse your evidence is, the less my percentage is going to be if we're going by percentage.
Yes, the percentage.
So it is going to go down immediately as soon as you start hearing things.
Okay, so I just want to make it, it's not 100%.
Not currently for me because I'm past possibility.
Okay, so you're at 0%.
No, I wouldn't even say that.
Okay, then where are you then? That's what I'm trying to get.
I don't, with a God. Okay, so first of all, let me just say this. This is like,
you just give me a percentage.
This is like more for fun. You just kind of want to know where I stand. Like, blah,
no,
blah, blah.
It's not.
This isn't an accurate assessment of truth in any way.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because the atheist can say, I believe 100% that there is no God. Zero possibility. The atheist can say the atheist can say there's a 0% chance.
I am an atheist, and I can't say that.
Have atheists stated that?
Some have, yes.
Thank you. And notable, credible, scholastic ones, more credible than you and I put together?
I don't know.
Oh, God. Okay. There have been plenty of atheists that vehement, like you said, that staunch side of the atheists where they are convinced that 0%. And I'm saying that is the public core distinction of that word atheism.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying I don't know. I'm just being honest. I'm not sure who the scholars you might be referring to that would have been strong atheists. I don't know.
Okay.
The ones that I study and the ones that I listen to quite frequently are more agnostic atheists. I don't encounter very many Gnostic atheists. I have, and I don't understand why they take that position because I don't know how you can possibly know anything prior to playing time. So I don't know how you can make that declaration. I get that you can make that declaration about gods that have already been presented. There's plenty of those out there, and I can say definitively those don't exist because there's no good evidence whatsoever. But does that mean that something doesn't exist? I have no idea. So
right.
I guess I'd have if you're asking me for a position on percentage, I have to say like I guess 50% because I don't fucking know.
That's neutral. That's a tie. Yes, that's a tie. Yeah, and you had stated that there's no ties, there's no neutral, and you just said on a quantified level, 50%. That means it's a tie.
What it means is it's my opinion that doesn't change anything about reality.
And who am I talking to right now? You.
Well, you're talking to me, but are we trying to get at reality, or are we just trying to get at opinions?
You're trying to tell me that I should start saying that I'm an atheist, and I say no, I'm not on a percentage wise. And I ask you, what percentage are you? Oh, 50-50. I go, that's me.
Yes, but that is an agnostic atheist.
No, no, it's not.
He
No, it's not.
doesn't know.
That's why you had this. Look, I'm going to show you how 50-50 looks like. It looks like this right here in the middle. You see how it's in the middle of the line?
No,
you see how it's in the middle of the black and white? It's in the middle for a reason. That's what I'm trying to tell. I'm in the middle.
That isn't even answering the same question. Agnosticism has nothing to do with theism.
I know, but you were trying to remove my claim to neutrality. I'm saying I'm neutral. You go, you can't do it. You were fighting me on that.
I didn't say you can't be neutral. I said
yes, you
neutral,
did.
No, I said neutral is synonymous with unconvinced. That's what I said. I never once said you can't be neutral. I said that you are the same. It is the same meaning.
Okay, but an atheist, is an atheist neutral or is an agnostic neutral? Which one?
An agnostic atheist is neutral.
Okay, but the proposition is if I'm an atheist, that's what I'm trying to say. This is exactly what I feel like I'm talking to a
the default position for an atheist is unbelief that a God exists. That's the default position.
Yes.
Some atheists go stronger than that, but that is not the neutral position.
And that's strong. No. That's stronger when you're saying some. Notice that's a quantifying percentage, what you're doing here to determine what was true. You're saying some. That means a small amount, right?
Sure,
and I'm trying to
put a number on it.
Now you're putting the numbers, and I'm saying that small amount that you're putting on, that's the majority amount. That would the common person. When you say the term atheist, they're thinking of what you're claiming to be the smallest one, and I'm saying no, it's not. I categorically disagree. If you go up to a person and look, just like Richard Eckhart is saying this, look, I don't agree with Richard Eckhart's theology, but look, you guys are being silly. Atheism, there is no God. Theism, there is a God. Agnostic, nothing to known or can be known by. Done. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I believe when I ask you about, okay, then what percentage? I think that gets right down to where the heart of the matter is.
I think that most people, when they think of atheists, they think of what you're saying, the
yes. Yes.
But the majority of atheists, from my experience and from what I've seen, are not that position. They are the unconvinced variety.
Were they former? What's your statistic on this, though? That's your anecdotal first-person subjective view.
It is my opinion. I don't have a statistic.
Okay, what's statistic?
I don't even know how you get a statistic on that.
Then we shouldn't make those bold statements.
Well, that may be true.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. The proposition is bold. It's impetuous.
Yeah, but
I'm not an atheist.
Same with the percentages of my conviction of God.
No, it's not. That's logical. No, it's not logical.
But I can't put an actual percentage on. So
by me using numbers, I'm supporting logic. That's why I'm using numbers. That's why mathematics, we're trying to logically solve the formula. And we use formulas that are logical.
Yeah, but they're hard numbers. That's different. They're evaluable. They're actually, you can use independent verification to determine whether those numbers are accurate.
Okay. I don't want to understand.
My opinion on the percentage. You can't.
No. Okay.
Nobody can independently verify how convinced I am of a God.
Oh, right. I know that. That's why you're trying to speak for me. And that's what I'm trying to say. You can't do that.
No, but I can definitively say that you are an agnostic atheist by the sheer definitions that we use in our dictionaries. That's different. That's a hard fact.
I don't think that's a hard fact.
It is a hard fact. Because until you're convinced and believe there is a God definitively, you are an atheist.
No, because I'm neutral. I'm not convinced or unconvinced. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all. I know we're going to circles.
Shall we go back to the synonyms again?
Hey, you know what that means?
Because the synonyms say different.
And you know what that means? 50-50. That's what that means. That's what that means. Okay. I'm just trying to tell you. That's what that means. 50-50 means you're neutral. That means you're not decided or undecided. That's it. Now you could play the words, and I get it. You could play the words, and I'm like lost in this lingo of what is it? You know, I'd
ask you again, is there a neutral ground between Gnosticism and agnosticism?
Is there a neutral ground between Gnosticism and agnosticism? I don't think so.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I'm willing to be persuaded.
You're either agnostic or agnostic. You're either theist or atheist. It's A or not A.
Well, what if I wanted to say
middle grounds here,
man? The middle ground would be agnostic, agnostic. How about that? Because that's what you're trying
to. Because you haven't.
I know you shake your head.
You haven't yet addressed your belief. You continue to address.
Okay. Why can't I claim Gnostic, agnostic? That would be illogical, right?
Yes, it's completely logical.
That's exactly how I look at
in the same relationship. In the same
relation, that's exactly the contradiction I see with you're an agnostic atheist. I go, they're categorically different. That's how I look at it. How you just said, well, there's a middle ground, and I'm an agnostic atheist, and I go, nah, I don't like that. And when I say, okay, I'm a Gnostic agnostic, and you don't like that, I'm saying, okay.
Are you retracting now? Are you retracting your admission from earlier that you were an agnostic atheist?
No, I said that. I said that to prove the proposition that you didn't prove that I was an atheist. You were trying to convince I'm an agnostic atheist. That's not what the proposition said.
Are you retracting that? Are you agnostic atheist?
No, I'm not. No, I said that in the vein that means that you didn't prove the proposition to be true. No, I'm not an agnostic atheist. I already said I'm not an atheist. Don't associate that with me. That's what I had said.
So then you're a theist. If you deny you're an atheist,
I am an agnostic.
You can't be not one or the other, dude. It is impossible.
Yes, you can.
By sheer definition, you are A or not. What other option is there between A and not A?
Goodness gracious.
Lose the logic. Give me another.
Okay, fine. Logic. Okay. What's the difference between? Okay, fine. A and like what do you say? A and B or A and
A and not A.
A and not A.
This is
what I'm trying to say is
non-contradictory.
Okay.
You can't.
Oh no. Okay, I'll fine. I'll use mathematics, which is logical. I'm
just A or not A. What's
I'm gonna use a graph. Okay, a straight line graph. You have 1 and 2, right? I'm in the middle
of 1 and 2. That's what was my question. 1 or not 1. That's my question.
The proposition is not that black and white.
It is. You're either this
not, and that's why I asked you. That's why you said 50-50.
Are you a theist? No,
that's why
you're an atheist.
50-50.
Period.
But that's why you said 50-50.
No, that's
yes, you
50-50 is my percentage.
I asked you about what possibility do you think God exists? At first, you said 100%. And I asked you, what atheist in history ever made this statement to the public? You said, I can't think of one. I go, fuck me neither. Well, that's controversial. Now, the second part of that, Alan, is, okay, so then what is your percentage? You said, well, a long way, 50-50. That's what I was saying. What does a tie mean? What does neutral mean? It means like a 50-50.
You might be neutral in your agnosticism, the way you're trying to define neutral, but you cannot change the fact that A and not A are the only two options.
No, it's not. That is a terrible framework.
What other? So you're denying the logic of the A and not A?
Like, no, what I'm trying to say is that's not an adequate framework when it comes to the possibility of God's existence. And wait, let me say this. It's not a good analogy to determine whether I am an atheist.
If you're not a theist, you're atheist. Like, that's it, dude. There's A or not A.
No, it's not.
Yes. What other option is there between them?
Agnostic. That's
no, because it's not speaking to the same subject. Theism and agnosticism are not the same thing.
Fine. I'm an anti-theist.
It's also not the same thing.
Yeah, it is, because theism is in the word. Theist is in the word.
Anti-theism isn't speaking to belief.
Okay.
It speaks to desire.
Theism, okay. All right. Theism, atheism, and anti-theism.
Theism
is still the common denominator.
Same thing, dude. Oh my gosh.
I know they're not the same thing, but they share the same common denominator. They share the same common denominator, and that is theism.
Yeah, now you're just being stubborn, dude. Come on.
I'm not.
You are, because
at the end of the day, Alan.
A or not A. Theism or not theism.
No,
those are the two options.
That's the black and white, and you go 50-50.
Dude, you're trying to say the opposite of theism is agnosticism. It's not. The opposite of theism is atheism.
No, it's atheism. That's what I said.
So if you're not a theist, then you're not a theist.
No, what? Okay, the opposite of theism is atheism. I get
yes.
That. Okay.
And if you're not a theist, by default, you're
See, you're the one that has this dual nature. I think the dualism
of
good
and evil. I don't care about my thing. This is my thing.
You have
not my thing. If you're not a theist, you're not a theist. It's that simple. Like, look, it's in the word. I'm not a theist. Therefore, not a theist. Not theist. That's all it is, man. It's nothing else in between.
Yeah, it is. That's why. Then why'd you say 50-50 then when I asked you what's the possibility?
Because I'm not speaking of my belief in God. I was speaking about what percentage I think is possible. Right. That's a totally different question.
Okay, fine. It's a totally different question.
You were asking about knowledge, about things that you study. Is there a possibility that a God exists? Sure. But that isn't a question about whether or not I'm a theist. I am not a theist. Therefore, I am an atheist by definition. There is no other option.
Yeah. Agnosticism or neutral.
Oh my God, but they're not the same thing, dude.
or neutral.
Agnosticism isn't speaking to theism.
I know they're not the same thing.
Are you
but
a
I don't
theist
have- I
or
don't have
not a
to-
theist? I'm an agnostic. That doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, no, I could just say I'm neutral between the two.
If I say to you, if I ask you, are you a theist or not a theist? You can't just say, well, I'm an agnostic.
Yes,
that doesn't answer the question.
No, I could say
it's not
I'm
answering
neutral.
the question.
Okay,
it's avoiding the question.
All right, fine. No, I'm not. You see, you want me to lie and choose one, and
no,
I'm not going to lie.
I do, because you're either a theist or you're not a theist. Are you a
Do
theist or you're not a theist?
Okay. Do you want me to lie?
I want you to tell the truth. Are you a theist or are you not a theist?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? And I'm going to use logic and mathematics to determine this. I say 50-50. That's where I'm at.
That's not an answer to this question. That's
I know you don't like it. I know. It's
not a like. I don't care if you're 50-50. That's fine. You can be all that when it comes to how much knowledge you feel you're convinced that God exists. But that's
you're
still
trying to force the word atheism into my framework.
Being 50-50 about whether or not you're convinced that God exists has no bearing on the question of whether you are a theist or not a theist.
Yeah, it is.
It bears only an answer to the question of how convinced are you that there's evidence that there might be a God. That's all that's answering. That is not answering the strict question. Are you a theist? If you are not, you are therefore by definition not a theist. A theist. Period.
It's not that black and white. I'm trying to tell you, it's not that black and white.
Okay.
And I know you disagree. You're trying to make it like it's either one or the other. And
what's the other option? And you can't just say another
middle ground.
I might as well say, well, it's not for me. It's phones. Are you a theist or an atheist? I'm a phone. That's the same thing you're doing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You're just changing the word.
One thing I will never say is I'm 100% convinced that all the other religions, even if it's at that game of Clue, like you have the game of Clue, right? And you go, I'm 100% convinced that they're all possibilities, right? And you're looking at, you're comparing the weapons to all religions, right? Like each weapon possible is each religion, correct? That's the analogy. Like if I'm looking at all the possibilities, you have to equally say they could all 100% be them, right?
If you haven't evaluated, then I have to say that they would all be possible. But again,
and then when I asked you, when I asked you after your evaluation, after all your knowledge you have as a former Christian, all that, what is the percentage now of the possibility? And you had said 50-50, and I'm saying that's neutral. That means tie.
Yes, but it's still not answering the question of whether I'm a theist or not. It's answering the question of whether I think there's a possibility.
I know, but the proposition is, am I an atheist?
And no, the proposition is, are you a theist?
No, that's not the proposition of this debate.
I'm asking you now, are you a theist?
I'm an anti-theist.
It's not the same, dude. You're just fucking changing the word. Are you a theist or not? God, you're so frustrating. And also, whether or not my position on that possibility being 100%, I'm wrong about that, all the things I may have said wrong completely about all that, has no bearing on the question of whether or not you're a theist or not. It doesn't change the original proposition at all.
Because the reason why I said that is because I think I exposed your attempt to bring these unnecessary nuance of terms to light. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's not nuanced. Yeah, it is. It is not hard. I'm asking you a very specific question that you just do not want to answer because it would prove that you are wrong. And the question is, are you a theist? And you jump to, no, I'm an agnostic. No, I'm an anti-theist. No, I'm a book. No, I'm a phone.
No, I said
you're a theist or you're not. That's the question. You will not answer it.
I'm neutral.
That's also not an answer to the question.
Yes,
are you a theist? I'm asking you a specific question. Are you a theist? Why is this so hard? Are you a theist? Are you a theist?
Okay, really quickly. I just answered it.
No, you didn't. That's not an answer to the question. No, it's yes or no. It's not giving me a different answer. It's yes or no.
Do you want me to lie? Do you want me to lie?
I want you to give me the answer to the question I'm asking.
Do you want me to lie?
I want an answer to the question I'm asking.
Do you want me to lie or be honest?
I want you to be honest.
And neutral.
That's not an answer to the fucking question.
That is.
Are you a theist? You can't even say you're not a theist anymore. That's how absurd this has become.
No, because your framework is, by the way,
the framework. Fuck everything we've talked about. Just strictly asking you a fucking question. Are you a theist? Earlier, you had no problem answering it. Now, all of a sudden, you are struggling to answer it.
No, I'm an anti-theist.
That's not an answer to the fucking question.
Because if I say that I'm not a theist, you're going to say, well, that leads to atheism. I say,
no, it doesn't lead to atheism. That is atheism.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Sorry to tell you. That's why you said 50-50. No atheist has ever said that.
This is most. This is so dishonest, man. Just
No,
answer
it's
the
not.
question.
Oh my goodness gracious.
It's
Listen,
a
if
yes or no
say-
question,
okay,
Tristan.
no,
Yes or no. That's it.
no,
I'm not asking you to give me a third answer. I'm asking yes or
because
no question.
if I say I'm a theist, then you categorize me with all
You
the
are.
religions.
If you say you're a theist, you're a theist. I
Right,
have
then
no
you
reason not to
all right,
believe
then then you categorize me with all the religions, correct?
No.
Okay, wait. If I say that I'm a theist, you're not going to categorize me. So by theism, you're saying that just the belief in a God.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm 70% leaning towards it. That's how you're defining theism. Then I say 70, maybe 60, 70.
That's still not answering the question.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I said that there's 70%.
That's
belief
not
that there is a
answering
God
the
out there.
question.
Okay, fine.
Are
Okay, here it is. Okay, here it is. Okay, here
I'm
it is.
not asking how much
Okay.
percentage is
Yes,
there.
I know.
and
Yes,
It's the same thing as me. I might as well say, how much percentage is left, Tristan, for it to convince you that there is a God? And you would say 30%. Therefore, you're not yet convinced.
No, that's why I brought up warranted belief. That's why I brought up probability and plausibility. You see, you're the one bringing us into this language game. I'm just saying, like how Richard Eckhart said, just keep it simple for the public. And you're saying, well, if we
Dude,
don't
this
keep it
is
simple-
anything but simple for the public.
I
We have turned
know.
this into a nightmare, and all you have to
I
do is answer
know.
one question. Are
I
you a
answered
theist?
it.
No, you didn't. It's a yes or no question.
I'm neutral. I think.
That's
fine.
not an answer.
Okay. Yes, it is. It's an answer that you
Yes
want,
or
but
no? Yes or
70
no?
Okay, I think
Yes
that
or
70%.
no?
No, I'm undecided. I'm neutral. You're not going to force me to make a decision. That's
You
terrible.
can't be
That's
neutral
tyranny.
on the
Yes, I
subject
can.
of
Yes, I
whether or
can.
not you're a theist. You're
Okay,
either
if you-
yes or you're no.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
You can be
It's not.
neutral about the amount of information you have. You can be neutral about
No,
whether
I'm
you
being
think the
neutral. I'm being
information is.
neutral about my worldview. I'm telling you, I give 70% and 30% to atheism. If you look at atheism, I can say 70%.
So 30% more would convince you.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that that's going to play out. That doesn't
If
mean
you
that's
got
not
that
gonna play out.
30%, if
The
you got
fight
that
is not over
30%,
yet. The
if you
fight
got
is
that
not over yet.
30%, would you then say you're a
It's
theist?
too early. You're trying
Exactly.
to judge a fight on the second round. You're trying
Dude,
to judge a fight
I
on the
agree
second
with
round.
you. It's too early. Therefore, you're not a theist yet.
No,
It's
I'm
too
not
early.
making a decision. The judges have not made a decision yet. You want me to
Therefore,
make
you're
a
not.
decision on the second round. You want me to make a definitive decision on when we're when the fight isn't even over yet.
God,
That's
I
all I'm
swear to
trying to
God,
say.
this is the most frustrating conversation I think I've
I
ever
know, Alan, I know. Sorry, you have to talk to me. You made a mistake.
had.
Okay. I know it's been almost 2 hours. Okay, much love. By the way, everyone, Alan knows how much I intellectually I think that he could hang with anybody in the world. You know, if he were to, debate Jay Dyer, Alan, you would absolutely take him to school. Please, if he's on a live stream, go to him. I follow his books. I've read his literature. So Alan, I respect you 100%. You and I both know this. Okay. So I'm not trying to have gotcha moments. This is just a matter of the debate. You know, you're passionate. I'm passionate too, but I love you. And okay. I love you.
There's not going to change any of that. I find this quite funny, actually.
I know. Okay. I'm sure, we go back and say, got you here, got me there, got you there. That's not what it's about, you guys. It was fun. It's been 2 hours, but let me go ahead and get to the questions. It says, you can simply say, I'm not epistemologically convinced, but emotionally, I'm reserving a space to believe. Yeah, but the emotion part is still tied to your neurological properties. It's still involving the frontal cortex. It still involves the amygdala. It still involves this. The emotions still involve this. That's why somebody who's a serial killer, they've noticed many times that the amygdala is very small. And that size matters, and it does when it comes to quantifying things, especially determining concrete truth, percentages and numbers and all that. It does matter. And it's not silly. It's not silly to use numbers. That's all I'm trying to. That's why we were clashing, Alice, because you said it was silly for me to use numbers. I go, no, it's not. It should never be silly for you to use numbers when it comes to determining truth. You should use numbers. That's what we do with mathematics. That's how we got the Industrial Revolution. That's how we got the scientific method, was looking at things empirically through numbers.
Dude, I'm not making a case that it's always silly to ask a question about numbers.
You said it was silly for me, and I'm saying in this state of affairs.
I'm not saying it's silly for you to ask questions about numbers. I'm saying in this particular case, with this particular subject, it had no bearing on the conversation, and it was not helpful. But that's all I was saying.
All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let me see. Here's my proposition. You can both decide that there is a difference between atheism, the brand, and atheism, the fashion movement. Okay, maybe he's going somewhere with this that I can kind of see. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. These nuance of terms, I get it. I'm just saying that it doesn't need to bleed that way. It doesn't need to go down that road. But you're saying that it does because you declared that if it doesn't, theism is always going to have a stronghold. And I said, nah, that's too hasty to make that claim, to say that. But I think that what he's saying has some substance. You can both decide that there is a difference between atheism, the brand.
Well, I'm only 60% sure about that prediction.
I like it. But if you, yeah, I like it. Okay. It's like, Alan, when somebody's out of the hospital, right? And they go, what's the likelihood that they would make it? That percentage matters, don't you think? Don't you think it influences some, don't you think that percentage of an expert, like if a doctor says, it's logical. People want to know that. It's not silly to ask, what's the percentage my freaking loved one's going to die? What's the percentage they're going to make it? Oh, that's silly. Why the fuck would you ask that to find the truth?
But no. In that case, you realize you're talking to a person's emotions in that moment, and you're helping them. You're helping them feel the weight of how much this doctor thinks something is going to happen.
The doctor, okay, but if the doctor told you, oh, it's 100%.
Well, sure. I mean, that's a pretty good number. I'd say he's convinced.
Yes. See, odds and those numbers matter. And I'm saying it's never silly. What I'm trying to tell you is when determining truth, it's never silly to use numbers. Never. Find me one state of affair. Find me anywhere where it was silly to use numbers to define truth. Give me one example.
The debate with Tristan Gabriel called "Is Tristan Gabriel Atheist?"
Fine, besides that, okay, fine. Besides that one, then give me any. Besides that one, give me any state of affair, imaginary or real, where numbers is silly to use to determine and quantify a conclusion of truth.
Oh God, I don't know. My brain hurts right now.
You can imagine it, or you can go to a real life case.
I'd have to think, man. I don't even know right now.
I know, but I could pull you so many times where numbers is used and it's not silly, right?
I don't know. I'd have to sit down and think about it, honestly.
That's why we have a jury in our judiciary system when it comes to rules and ethics and killing somebody of capital punishment. That jury, those numbers matter. And you're saying, no, it doesn't. I'm saying it's silly. I go, no, it's not silly. That's why we have a jury.
I don't.
That's why we have numbers in our Constitution. That's why we have numbers when it comes to
I don't think the numbers have no bearing on whether or not a person's confident in something. I'm saying it doesn't have the bearing that you were trying to make the case for tonight, that it would determine.
Majority rules does have a bearing when determining what is true. That's why I asked you, okay, you go like that, you go like that. I go, okay, so then what else? Minority rules? And you go, no, then stick with it. It's called a brute fact. It's a brute deduction framework in our neuropsychology. You can't change that. It's a law. It's a logical law that majority will always rule, even on the biological level. Like cells and cancer cells, the more that they are, the more likelihood you're going to die. That's why when they're multiplying, they're going to try to kill them and nullify the numbers.
I don't know that's true. I'm pretty sure. I don't know off the top of my head because I'm not a scientist, but I've heard enough. I'm pretty sure that there are situations in which minority actually rules the day in certain things.
I'm talking about to the common basic general, okay, rule. Should majority rule or should minority rule? Should be neutral rule?
Like you mean when it comes to like picking a president or something like that?
I'm just saying, just that framework in itself, and you could apply it anywhere. I don't think I would apply it across the board. I would say it's situational. Okay. When it comes to the scientific method, when forming a conclusion, does majority of your information rule or neither? When it comes to the scientific method, the data rules, and being independently verified. It has nothing to do with what the majority of the minority think. Majority. When you are not an expert in a field, I would say you roll with the consensus until you have a good reason to think otherwise. But just because you roll with the consensus doesn't mean the consensus. So then why did humanity lean towards majority rules when it comes to many things? When making a decision for coherent, why are we naturally going towards majority rules, and how come we're not going to minority rules? Well, I think generally that's a property of the human mind. Like we tend to
to roll like that. Like we look around, we're like, hey, if all these people can't be wrong. But I mean, unfortunately, that's what a lot of theists say about Christianity. Look at all these people for history. They can't all be wrong. Yeah, they can. And they are. So I would not say numbers determine truth. I say it determines that that's the way.
No, that's not. I never said that numbers determine truth. You said that it was silly for me. And I'm saying it's not silly. Hell no. Numbers, when it comes to determining truth, are not silly.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. It's silly. It's silly when it comes to determining whether you're a theist or an atheist. It had no bearing on it. It was a waste of conversation for that one question.
I don't know.
All the percentage in the world had no bearing on whether you are or aren't. That's just a simple question. Doesn't mean
because if you're not, but if you're not something, definitively, that would be 0%, correct?
If you're not something definitively, I guess, yeah.
Okay, the number 0 was invented for a reason. And is 0 logical? Let me ask you, is 0 a logical number? Yes or no?
I am not good at this stuff.
Is 0 a logical number? Yes or no?
I would say no.
0 is not. So to use the number 0, we should not use that in our mathematical problems, in our equations.
I mean, if you're asking me personally,
are you going to try to boycott? Are you going to try to boycott the number 0 in mathematics?
If you're asking me my personal opinion, sure, I think it's an important number. So if you're asking me mathematically, I don't know. I'm not a mathematician.
So you're trying to tell me that the number 0 is not determined when it comes to math. It's not an important
number.
I'm
not a mathematician. I don't know the answers to these questions.
I know.
You're in a different area. You're beyond my expertise here.
Because when it comes to logic, we use mathematics. That's why we use deduction. We use computation. That's why. And you're saying it's silly for me to bring up numbers when I ask you what percentage in your worldview, probability, all that. You're saying it's silly. I say no. It's never silly to add numbers when it comes to determining truth or someone's beliefs. It's not silly.
Fine. If I retract that entirely and say, hey, it was the most brilliant thing you ever did to ask me questions about percentage and all that, I granted, would you answer my question? Are you a theist?
I did. I'm 50-50 like you. I'm 50-50 like you. I'm 50-50 like you.
That's not an answer to the question, but okay.
That's the answer that you gave when I asked you, what's the possibility of there's a God that exists? That's the same thing as whether you're an atheist or an atheist.
No, it's not. It's because not. I don't know why you avoid the question so hard.
I'm not, because you're trying to trap me with the duality. And I'm saying it's
trying to ask you a question. Are you a theist?
No, it's not dual. Because the framework in which you're trying to ask, let's say there's 6 sides.
Dude, I'm not trying to trap you in anything. I'm asking you a question. Are you a theist?
No, but the question is malformed. The question is malformed. The question is malformed. That's all I'm trying to say. And then so if it's either one or the other, then why are we saying 50-50?
Because that's not answering the same question. That's why.
It is. They say I did ask the same question on whether or not you believe.
Dude, the answer to the question, are you a theist, is yes or no. The answer to the question is what would convince you of theism is a totally different question. That's the 50-50.
I didn't ask you what would convince you. I asked you what you currently hold.
Right. But I'm saying entrapped in that same question is a percentage idea of like,
but my question gives you more liberty to answer uniquely.
Yes, but that's because
your question tries to encapsulate. I ask you it's more multifaceted. At least I gave you the liberty.
You're still asking that question from a different angle. You're asking that question from the neutral position. What's your percentage? I'm asking you a simple question of theism. Are you a theist or are you not? That's
what I say. If I say I'm not an atheist, if I say no, I don't hold to theism, and you're saying, well, then you're an atheist, and that's where I say no, that's too impetuous, that's too hasty. It's not that black and white.
If you're not a theist, are you a theist?
What was that? I know you've already asked me this.
If you're not a theist, are you a theist?
Because
I'm not asking you personally. I'm asking you just a logical question. Just disconnect yourself from the question. If a person is not a theist, are they a theist?
No, they could be an agnostic, or they could be an anti-theist, or they could be undecided and neutral.
Sure, they could be all those things, but you know what else they are? Not a theist.
That's not true. That's arbitrary. That's arbitrary. What you're doing is you're projecting a word.
Dude, you can be all those other things, but if you're not a theist, you're not a theist. That's just like, oh my God, dude. Like, yes, you're an anti-theist. Yes, you're an agnostic.
No. They could say they're a deist. They could say they're a deist. That they could say they're a deist.
No, because then you'd be a Gnostic. Then you'd be an agnostic theist.
Okay. Do you not know that it's not just theist? There's also deist.
Yes,
that's an option. Okay, so why are you not including deism? when in
I
this
am
question.
in the
No,
agnostic
you're
theism.
not. You're
Dude,
asking whether you're asking theism or atheism. I'm saying, what about
dude,
theism?
I already said, you're not listening. You're just talking over me. I said agnostic theism is where deism falls. Why do you think it's called deism? You don't know enough about this God. That's agnostic theism. A God exists of some sort.
Yeah, but you can't have an agnostic atheist. That's just my opinion. I mean, you're going to encounter problems if you're going to try to articulate it. And you had no problems well, you did have a problem when I said, well, can you be a Gnostic agnostic? You're like, no, that's logically cannot happen,
No,
right?
just like you can't be a theist atheist.
Right. And I don't think you could be an agnostic
Right.
atheist
So you're
either.
one or the other.
It's, yeah, I guess. But I was an atheist, though. I was an atheist, agnostic atheism. Anyways, is there are there any questions that you see, Alan, that
Oh, I haven't been looking. I've just assumed you were. I think we put everybody to sleep.
Nah, I got a heart. I got one little heart. Oh, Deb was in here. Deborah's in here. Vague generalities would always be probable than specific. So depending on how vague your definition of God is, the percentage can slide around. I agree with that. That percentage slides around. You know, that percentage is like, can I propose a semantic solution, which is sloppy, but a good as English will allow. The brand's pronunciation is a. Oh, okay, whatever. That's cool. Law isn't scientific. It's strictly rhetorical. I don't know. This guy's taking a jab at me. Tristan debates like an apologist. It's disappointing. Sorry, I know. I don't like looking at myself on camera, and I don't like hearing myself talk on recording. Okay. We use numbers to create standardization. It's a tool of communication, not establishing there's whatever. So numbers aren't used to establish objectivity. Then find me a case where something objective is not used with quantifying numbers and percentages and deduction. The process of elimination. The process of elimination is deduction, which is numbers. Numbers are abstract realities that are modes of logic. That's why the number 0 exists. Do you think we made up the number 0? Oh, there we go. Alan, is mathematics invented or discovered?
It's invented.
Really? So the laws of gravity, that's invented? Quantum physics?
I didn't say that was invented.
That's mathematics.
No, mathematics is invented.
Yes, it is. No, it is. What did you say?
Mathematics is invented.
The laws of gravity.
It's why we continue to improve it and make it better.
Oh, well, excuse me. The laws of gravity in our solar system and all of that has to do with mathematics, correct?
Yes and no. Like
no, it's yes.
The strict.
Yes. It is yes. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Yes. Measurement, gravity. That involves mathematics.
The mathematics we created are what we use to measure that. That's how you know that. But prior to us, there was no mathematics.
So you believe that we created the number 1?
The number 1 existed, but as a formulation, we created it. Yes.
Do you believe that the number 0 was invented by humans?
Yeah, strictly the numbers themselves were created by humans, correct?
The numbers. Okay, so the numbers don't exist outside of reality. Is that what you're telling me? And that would include outer space. That would include the black holes and everything there, which numbers is involved, which mathematics is involved when formulating a black hole.
So inherent in the universe are the workings of these numbers, but I'm saying mathematics as a system was created by humans, like geometry and oh my God, my mind is algebra and whatever else. You know, my brain is fried. But that was definitely created by humans in the way it functions. Like I said, we continuously improve.
No, it is not the way it functions. No, it does not the way mathematics functions. We don't alter those rules. 1 + 1 is 2. Did we invent that, or does that also involve like in our cellular form?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we invented that. I mean, 1 + 1.
So did we invent the number? Okay, did we invent the number of chromosomes?
1 + 1 = 2 because we say it does.
Okay, did we invent the number of chromosomes, or did that nature give us that? X and Y chromosomes. There's a numbers and they matter, right? Did we dictate that? Did we invent that?
No, we didn't invent the amount that was there.
That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you.
But the number itself, we gave. We made a number.
Okay.
Like the number 5 isn't a number that was floating around out there, and we're like, ooh, 5. We just
are there mathematical equations that could help solve? Is there mathematics when it comes to medicine, when it comes to development of technology, when it comes to political establishments? when it comes to our heart rates, our cellular mathematics is all around us. We didn't invent it; we discovered it. That would be like saying we invented the laws of gravity.
Right.
So you believe that mathematics, if no human beings existed, what about the universe?
It doesn't even matter anymore, dude. This is off topic from our conversation.
Okay,
Anyway.
all right, I know, I get it. Is there anybody? Is there any question that you see?
I haven't looked. I was just letting you take care of that.
Okay, let me see. Can you? Lance Conley's in here. You can be neutral agnostic. It's not either or. Theism or atheism are false choices. You can be neutral and not know which one is true or not. I mean that's my position. I know, Alan, you disagree.
He's clearly wrong anyway. Like he is about everything else.
Oh, good. Did you guys debate already?
No, I will not. I don't even want to talk to that dude ever again.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
Anti-theism simply means anti-theism, rejection of theism, not God. Right, and that's what I'm trying to say, Alan. You know, I've read some scholastic literature. I'm sure you have too, and there are those who define theism as something that is tied to a religious literature, and that was my filter of it. But I know that theism doesn't have to mean that. But I think that's what this guy, anti-theism simply means anti-theism, a rejection of theism, but not God. Right. That's how I would define anti-theism, but I know you define it differently.
No, I'm saying it definitely is a rejection of religious systems. I have no doubt about that. I'm just saying that you can also be a theist and be anti-theist. Like you could be convinced that God exists and still refuse to submit to him. You can be completely anti-God.
All right, we see we have Lily here. As long as no one is militant atheist, they're just the worst kind of people, I swear. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Militant atheist. That's what you would describe like a staunch.
Yeah, like the strong atheist that I would say. Right. Yeah, they're all well, and yeah, they're pretty much militant.
But I like their arguments though. We've all learned from them. They present the best arguments against theism. Like if a staunch militant atheist was to debate Paul, I'd be like, I don't know. I think the atheist is going to put him on blast.
It's not their arguments that aren't good. They are. I just don't think their arguments are sufficient to demonstrate that something you can't possibly know. They're trying to demonstrate a God definitively doesn't exist, and all they can really demonstrate is a strong possibility that doesn't exist, or that some of the particular ones that have been presented definitely don't, which I would agree with. But you can't. I don't know that anybody at all on either side of it, whether theist or atheist, can ever make a strong stance on what took place before Planck time. How the fuck can anybody know, dude? Nobody can. So, you know, trying to say that we know something we don't know is absurd. We should just say,
I get it. Daniel Rogers is in the house. Holy cow.
Oh my gosh. Now there's a blast from the past. Wow.
Daniel, are you still in here? This was at 7:24. Alan, I got to tell you, I apologize that you debated me. Okay, like I know that I could be annoying and whatever, and I appreciate your patience with me. And
fine, I knew I came into this to talk to a friend, so I mean, even though it doesn't matter. We would have done the same thing behind the scenes.
I know. So I'm not. I by no means am trying to insult your intelligence. Like I side with you. Okay, like the 99 percentile. Okay, I side with you. I feel like I do, but I don't know. Maybe you think like, no, you don't side with me, but I do. I enjoy your arguments. And what can I say? You know, it's fun. We invented the signs and symbols that describe realities, which we discovered and tried to define. I agree. And I'll pull from Ludwig Wittgenstein. I know he's not the determinate truth bearer, but to this day, I think only Noam Chomsky and Noam Chomsky is not going up against, rest in peace, by the way, he's not going to go up against Ludwig Wittgenstein. Like, what philosopher really goes up against Ludwig Wittgenstein? There was one, maybe, but nah. No, I don't know, with the language stuff and the symbols.
So I would just say that this is what I mean also when I say math was invented. That's what I mean. We invented the actual numbers.
We invented y equals mx plus b in formulas, but we did not invent the fundamentals of the existence of mathematics within the cosmos. We did not invent that. And that must have been...
Well, it's not mathematics. It's not mathematics.
Yes, physics is mathematics. Physics is mathematics.
Okay.
It is. There's numbers of atoms.
How we quantify the things, how we quantify the things that are taking place in physics is mathematics, and that is what we invented.
And even if there's the physics of the observer is absent, they're still set in place.
Those things are, but they're not quantified.
Thank you. I'm not talking about whether
mathematics does, though.
No. That is what the formula might do. Okay, but mathematics and the laws of our cosmos would still exist.
Mathematics isn't a thing unless we exist, dude. Mathematics isn't a thing unless we invented it. What's mathematics?
No. I'm sorry to tell you. What came first, the universe or humans?
Well, the universe. But I'm saying mathematics as a system
is mathematics involved in the Big Bang Theory?
It's involved in quantifying things. It's involved in knowing how it worked.
But it's also involved in the causation.
And without us putting together formulas and mathematics.
No. It would still happen. The Big Bang.
I say it would still happen.
Thank you. Exactly. And what is the emergence of that? What brings on the phenomena of that emergence? The number of times it was spinning, the speed it was going. Mathematics is physics. That's why if you go out in the universe, far away from humans, you're going to have black holes. You're going to have different planets. You have different sets of laws, even of gravity. That's all involving mathematics. But I think what Daniel is saying here is we invented the signs and the symbols. Yes, we invented the symbols, but the fundamentals behind those symbols, they had to have existed a priori.
Sure.
If not,
sure.
then
that's all I'm saying is mathematics is a system we created to describe realities that exist. So I think we're playing semantics a little bit. I'm just saying you might be defining mathematics as what already exists, and I'm saying mathematics.
Right. I get what you're saying. The fundamental existence of mathematics. How about the ontology of mathematics had to have existed before? If not, this is why you have philosophers who believe the universe is a fake. They believe all of this is a simulation. That's why Rene Descartes came in, questioning stuff like this, like how does our mind and brain interact with the world that we live in. That's why I think therefore I am. There must be some sort of first person sense of immediacy. And anyways, good topics. I think that's everything. Alan.
All right.
Did you want to close or give any final statements?
No, I see somebody else in here that's wrong. Just kidding.
Okay, what is it? Let me put it up.
She is a daughter of the Most High, says, totally agree with Tristan. Love you, Alan.
Oh, okay, I know.
She's wrong about the first half, not the second half.
She said
love you, Alan part must be right. I can't imagine that's wrong.
The ontology of mathematics does not exist in the real world.
It's a good way of putting it. That's what we were just saying. Like it's the system itself that we've created that exists.
No, I know, but I believe, and I think you believe too, that the universe existed and it was formed with the laws of gravity that were already set in stone before we existed.
Sure, that's not the ontology. The ontology is the system.
No, the ontology would be the nature of being, and that would be the fundamental nature. That would be apart from the formulas that we've created.
No, like he's saying the ontology of mathematics itself, though, is what he's saying. Not the ontology.
Yeah, that existed before we put on the
creation.
That existed before we put on the symbols. In order for the universe to have come to be, mathematics had to have happened. Something had to have emerged, and there had to have been some sort of causation. There had to have been some sort of causation, whether a singularity or whatever. There had to have been something.
Well, sure, of course.
And I can't think of anything that emerges apart from from mathematics. Anyways, I don't know what this guy's saying. The most precise mathematics only approach the limit of boundary, but do not reach the boundary itself. Yeah, again, we're looking at mathematics differently. I understand the formula, like y equals mx plus b. We invented the lines and all that. But that's not the fundamental part. The fundamental part existed before we did. That would be the universe and all of the planets and everything that's out there. The laws of gravity is mathematics. You can never define it. That's why, like, weight is a measurement. How much does something weigh? What do we do? That's a measurement. How do you measure something without math? And gravity and mass existed before humans.
No, that's the exact question. How do you measure something without math? You don't, and you can't.
I know.
Humans invented
Mathematics
math.
is all. I know. That's why when I try to measure your belief, I try to use mathematics. I'm just playing.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's fair if you're trying to measure my beliefs. I was just trying to say that that measurement has no bearing on whether I'm right or wrong. So that was.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, it doesn't. Open Blender and try to find the exact point between two surfaces, I guess. All right. Anyways. All right, Alan. Any final words?
Only that my wife asked me earlier how long she thought this would be tonight. I was like, I don't know, maybe an hour.
I'm sorry.
She said, no, I don't care. She said, oh, I thought it'd be 3. I said, probably not, but who knows? Here we are going all 3.
Okay.
Funny how she predicted it.
That's my fault. Please.
No. This wasn't a criticism. I was just making a comment on how she knows how this shit goes, man.
I know.
She's always making fun of me because I'm always like, oh, it won't be long. And then like 3 hours later.
I did the same thing. I was like, oh, it'll probably be an hour.
So it's just normal for me. I'm always going longer than I say. But this was fun. I mean, to me, this was fun. I don't care. I mean, I had a good time.
I did.
I mean, hopefully people learn definitions and, you know, made some observations and learned some new things. And hopefully Tristan comes out as an agnostic atheist.
You got me on that one. You got me. I'm an agnostic atheist, but I guess I don't know. Well, anyways, thank you, Alan, for this. It was fun. You know, I haven't had any like debates or anything happening. You know, recently. I can't remember the last time I debated. But that's it. So thank you. It was fun. And, you know, like I said, you know, I want to see you with Jim Bob and Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson. Please get on a live stream with them. Like when you see them, just hop right on, you know, and get on there and take them to school. That's, if I were to choose one person, I think that could really, because the thing is, Alan, is I don't think that they were as dedicated to even Bible theology. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I listen to them. I don't think that they're on your level, even when it comes to Bible theology itself. So it's like, I want to see you with these guys, like I've told you personally, and I'm praying and I'm hoping and I wish upon if there is a God out there, whatever, universe, force, simulation, whatever. I just hope that you get in there with these top.
Well, that's funny. You're feeding me to the wolves. Why don't you debate them?
I already got in with Jim Bob.
You did?
Yeah, 2 times, and he didn't want to air it. And I posted in our group. This is like 2 years ago. I came on the first time. Then he was talking a whole bunch of smack when I was on Derek's. He was Derek's channel, Myth Vision. He was like, "Oh, he said you let Derek put his balls in your mouth and stuff like that." I'm like, "What the hell?" He thought I was a Christian this whole time. I'm like, "Dude, I keep telling you, I'm not even a Christian." But anyways, I want to see you with those guys. So I'm hoping and I'm praying. Okay. Can an agnostic atheist pray? I don't know. That's a good one.
Wait. What's the percentage that you're praying to a God if you do that?
I am praying. I'm 100% believing. I'm 100% believing that if you get in with Jay Dyer, that you're not getting fed to the wolves. Like you're going to take them to school. And I doubt they'll probably even air it. That's how. Just listening to all your content, reading your literature, you're going to take them to school. I've listened to these guys. I don't know. I want to see you in the wolves.
Well, we'll see. I would like to have a few more debates under my belt first to get some more practice, but who knows? Right. Maybe I could take them. But we'll have to see about that. I don't even know how I would get a hold of these guys anyway to debate them. What do you just reach out to?
No, you just hop right on their live streams. They'll send a link. Sometimes they'll even promote it like, hey, anybody's open to come in, and you can do it. You know, but
you mean like a call-in type show?
Like a call-in type shit, right?
Oh, you mean just do that? Okay.
Yeah, just get on it and just do them like that. I think that'll be great. But yeah, trying to schedule a debate with them, I don't think they'll do it. Gotcha. But to hop on a live stream with them, yeah.
I got you.
I think that would be cool. So, anyways, all right, everyone, thank you for your attention. Thank you for your attention, you guys. This was fun, and Alan, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I respect you. I take my hat off to you, and I hope to hear from you again with more content. And yeah, like I said, thank you.
Hey, likewise in return, man. We are good friends, and I look forward to talking to you.
Okay, much love. Thank you. Appreciate it.
See behind the scenes.
Okay, all right. Bye-bye.